I gotta blast off, man. I gotta blast off. I'm a TikTok live guy now. Elon X Trump cabinet meeting. Trump's gross Gaza AI video. Tuborg şişesi gibi kahve içiyorsun abi. Aynen öyle kardeş. This is a cold brew double concentrate from Stumptown. Okay? Not an ad. Zero sugar sodas and zins are like your hookah and beer. Yes, I'm powered by that shit. Good Trouble really wanted to meet you and showed up like 5 minutes after you left. Oh shit, I miss Good Trouble. I like his content. I like a lot of the TikTok left. They're all pretty good. They're all pretty decent. I mean, I might have my disagreements, but look at this. Another person. Did he react to Trump's Instagram post? Thank you, Themasius, for the playlist. Yeah, I live off caffeine and nicotine. Let's be real. Real question. Why are you still using X? I'm not using anything by Elon. It's still, I'm holding on to the last piece here. Okay. Even though Twitter is absolutely garbanzo, I'm just simply holding on to whatever I can in terms of like making the best use of it. But yeah, drama. I'm a TikTok live guy now. Elon X Trump cabinet meeting. Trump's gross Gaza AI video. Wait, hold on. Let's turn the freaking music back on. Okay. Trump's gross Gaza AI video. Unk discovers TikTok live gone sexual. Yes, it's true. Budget cuts pass in-house. Boss man Bezos says no more free press at WAPO. And more. Yeah, I haven't watched if there's a new Daily Show Jon Stewart video, I haven't watched it, but I'm kind of annoyed every time Jon Stewart comes out with a new video, y'all are like, oh, you got to watch it. And then the video is just like literally a 22-minute video of the past week's statements that I've made. All right. Yeah. Okay. Here it is. Yeah. Bezos censoring WAPO. We'll talk about that. We got so much to cover today, dude. And my head's hurting a little bit, as I've told you guys, because of the dental work. Every time I do the dental work, like my sinuses explode. Not a fan of campus, but I like you. Well, possibly because I'm not a campus. If that's what you think I am, guess what? I am not. Also, campus is a term like tanky. It's mostly just utilized by liberals to talk about people who have a broader perspective on imperialism, like Western imperialism. Just a way to, attack them without actually addressing the claims being made. Like there are people who are like that, for sure. Okay, there are certainly people who are like that, who are just like unconditionally anti-America and align themselves like with even the likes of Assad, right? And I think that's silly. You'll still be right more often than not, but when you're wrong, you're really wrong. How many cavities do you have? It's not cavities. Isn't a campus someone who sucks at gaming and hides to get kills? No. A campus is a term kind of like tanky that liberals oftentimes apply to people who make criticisms of American empire, but it basically would be someone like Jackson Hinkle. Like that is like one of the only appropriate usages of the term, because Jackson Hinkle, albeit is all over the place, right? He's completely all over the place with his ideology, with his worldview. He's like a MAGA communist, but like he is always finding himself aligned with whoever the fuck is anti-America. And for that reason, he will be right in many instances, but when he's wrong, he's really wrong. Like he's pro-Russia, which is, completely ridiculous. Yeah, old bullshit mostly reserved for people still scared of the USSR despite it dying decades ago. I like that we do bring back old terminology like that here in American discourse, though. We got to find new ways for the liberals to be like, the real fear, the real people you should be afraid of are the leftists. They're scary. Okay, dog. Like, have fun. Have fun with your fucking Social Security getting eradicated. You know what I mean? We're over here talking about the Trump administration, and they're like, who's the real problem? Not the growing fascist movement in America, but fucking leftists, dude. The real fear. You must fear leftists at every given point. Dumbasses. Anyway, scary. Ooh, people that say we shouldn't do war. Those are the guys you should be afraid of. They're secretly pro more war, actually. Anyway, what is this? This is Sean the Black. Getting harassed? Is that what it is?
You're a dumbass. Okay, I can say that. It's not slander. You're a fucking moron. I can say that, and it's not slander. I can say that statistically, your people are dumber than other people, and that's not slander either.
Okay.
Yo, what the fuck? Yo, what happened? Like, did Ethan Kleiners become just like did they just go back to the old like N-word compilation? Is that what's happening? It's just edgy humor, dude. Yeah, why you gotta be mad? Bro, I don't understand. That dude got a 7-day ban from Twitch. No, I don't understand. I don't understand how you can look like this, okay? Because you're putting out vibes that you're supposed to be progressive. Am I crazy? When I see a person that looks like this, I don't think they're just going to go, your people are statistically low IQ, okay? This is, you know, the Lord works in mysterious ways, okay? I don't understand. I don't understand how we got to a point in American political discourse where like a person that in the year 2016 would be yelling at you over a fucking microaggression, okay, is now being like, your people are statistically low IQ to a black content creator. That is crazy. How did this happen? When did this happen? Also, it's so funny because like Twitch will literally ban someone for making a fucking hummus joke, okay, and act like it's the most anti-Semitic thing for 30 goddamn days, capitulating to the ADL, which is an apartheid defense institution, and then dudes on the platform would turn around being like, yeah, your people are statistically low IQ.
Okay.
Oh, this is a YouTube streamer? Okay, my bad. Okay, my bad. No disrespect, Twitch. Didn't realize Americans are statistically low IQ too. Yeah. If I see black nail polish on a dude now, I know I'm about to be hate crime. No, this doesn't make sense. This doesn't make no damn sense. You can't look like this and then also say stuff like that. Okay? You can't. What the hell is going on? They are streaming on YouTube because they got banned on Twitch. Oh, he said today he is openly Islamophobic. I don't even know. I feel like we've officially arrived at a point where, you know, the ship has too many fucking holes in it. I don't know which hole to plug. Like, I don't know where to start with a conversation like this. Do I address the like obvious race science, like faulty race science that this person is engaging in? Okay. Do I try to address the fact that like this dude looks progressive? Like, I think they're progressive, but all of a sudden they're saying some of the most like Nazi shit I've ever seen. They're also like a Ethan Klein head. Like, do I address the Islamophobia? Like, how did this happen? What is going on with like fucking progressive content creators? Like, what the hell is happening? Why are they like this? Just another example why grifting to the left doesn't work. Yeah, I mean, it's giving conservatism is punk. Yesterday, did you cover how the right wants to only allow some social media outlets to cover White House press conferences? Want to check the VOD if you did? I think briefly I talked about it. He is not progressive. He is a gaming anime guy. But I don't get it. You can't look like... If you look like this, I suspect you're progressive, okay? I suspect you're like woke as a pejorative, okay? Am I crazy? Like, am I too old? Has the world passed me by? I feel like if I see someone looking like this, I'm like, okay, that's a progressive person, okay? That's such a progressive person. They're going to stress me out about something that they think I'm lacking in terms of like not being woke enough on an issue. Like, this is a new type of person that we have unlocked again at the Hasanabi broadcast. Like, how do we unlock a new person, a new type? Looks are deceiving. No, I agree. No, this is just thinking hippies all look woke. This is a very specific look, okay? This is a very specific, like, I have a non-binary roommate that doesn't clean the goddamn dishes type of look, okay? This is a very, like, I'm in a polyamorous relationship look. It's not like, this isn't just like, oh, this person's a hippie, so I assume they were woke. Like, this is a unironically very specific type of look. I mean, if you can be an alpha male conservative looking leftist, why can't we have a fruity looking racist? Well, the reason why is because, like, would you think this guy would call you a slur? Oh no. Yo, why do you have to do that? Nah, he looks libertarian. No. The aesthetics of leftism are really appealing to shitty people that are too cowardly to be upfront, have conviction in their beliefs. I don't know. I mean, I guess you guys are right. People do look at me and go, that guy's a fucking bro. That guy's a bro and definitely, oh yeah, we've already watched this on stream. That guy's a bro and definitely problematic. You know, they slap me with that shit all the time. So, you know, I guess, yeah, you can have like queer presenting fascists, but like a very specific type of queer presenting fascists where they're not like there's gay, there's gay fascists out there, plenty of them, right? This is something different. Yeah, we're going to get to Jeffrey Jebediah Bezos. Don't worry. All right. Don't you worry. This is your standard QAnon vape shop employee, Y'all Qaeda QAnon in Texas. Wait, where's the post? I forgot. I missed it. There's some utility to having a bro aesthetic, but espousing leftist and progressive ideals. What the fuck does that person gain from giving they them fascist? Yeah, that's what I don't understand. Because like every other fascist person is going to look at you and be like, you're gay, dude. I don't want to listen to you. You're gay as fuck, you know? What do you got, them neo pronouns? I don't give a fuck, okay? My pronouns are I don't and give a fuck. That type of shit. He hit the same Hitler card as Fulcrum, apparently. Yo, I forgot to mention that the other day. Do you guys remember the Fulcrum kid who was like faded than a hoe? Like he would just like hit the vape. He would hit the pen. That dude apparently took an insane turn, dude. He got fucking full Nazi. He went full Nazi, dude. How did that happen? And in such a short period of time. How in the ever-loving hell did that happen? What is this new... Amaranth also caught brainworms. Yeah, I saw that. I mean, that one is like pretty clear. Y'all give the right too much credit for when Fulcrum was already a weirdo and is starting into videos. Hold on. I gotta show you this. Like, he didn't just go like little bit Nazi. He was like posting the most insane shit. He got banned, I think, already. But he was basically saying the K word, the anti-Jewish K word, over and over again. And just like posting it over and over again until he gets like banned. And I didn't even understand, like, and then I looked at his profile for a second and I was shocked. I was horrified by like what had happened. And I think like, no, I don't think he got laced. Okay. I don't think he got laced. I think he just hung out with Aiden Ross. Hassan, you are not tapped in at all. He's been racist. No, but I'm saying like when he was popping 2 to 3 years ago or whatever, he seemed like a relatively normal, like relatively kind dude. This, on the other hand, is just like, not only have you gone full Nazi, but you've literally like lost your mind. You're something above like Nazism. I don't know how to explain it. And I guess it was like 5 years ago when he was like, Yodi gang, like, oh, I'm just going to hit the vape pen or whatever the fuck. And then he just like, he hit too many blinkers. No, I think basically what happened is like he started linking up with like Aiden Ross and all of them and like went to kick and then just like went crazy. I mean, but this is like schizo posting. You know what I mean? Andrew Tate, Aiden Ross has bricked the brains of an entire fucking generation. I swear to God, dude. I don't know how we will ever. I do not know how we are going to go back and try to fix these people. I think they've just, I think they've done unimaginable amounts of damage. Gen Z is so cooked. It's crazy. It's just crazy because like they never, how do you explain Amaranth though? Is it just kick? No, man, it's grift. It's grift. Okay? It's grift. Everybody understands that, like, look, content creators, especially those who don't necessarily care about politics all that much, can still read the goddamn tea leaves, okay? They recognize that there's a growing right-wing movement, and they recognize that it's very easy to farm right-wingers. It's that simple. Right-wingers are not particularly intelligent, and they just want to hear the same things that they believe, and they just want to hear that back. They want to hear things that they agree to be reiterated over and over again. And it's the easiest thing to do. That's why so many content creators, when their content was like getting dull, hit that. First, they hit the fuck Hassan button, and then they hit the fuck the LGBT button. Okay. It's just not shocking. At least at this stage, it's not shocking. It's like, it's something that people do all the time. Like, how do you go from, are you saying I can get rich doing that? Okay, don't. As a big fan from a long ago, it is kind of frustrating when chatters say that colleague of yours sucks ass and you insist on good faithing them and scream at us just for them down the line to show their true colors. Not saying it's the wrong approach, but that it feels weird. And I don't know what would be the sensible solution. I mean, you can be more of a hardliner. I'm still going to fucking maintain I'm still always going to maintain my position, you know? I'm always going to try to be as charitable as possible to people until they just, you know, go completely insane. That's just how I do it, you know? But yeah, where is it? This is like, it was on my community. This is like
9.
Amaranth says that the LGBTQA activists shown here would have been burnt during the LA fires. Like, what the fuck? Like, what the fuck is this? What is happening? What's going on? This person had like a horse rescue or something. She's been in my house.
Times out of 10, figure out exactly why they're saying.
This is, in many ways, no different than when Elon Musk hits the fucking sick Heil, other people do it too, and it normalizes that kind of attitude. It normalizes that kind of politics. And it's precisely the same thing that's happening here, okay? Asmongold says a bunch of unhinged shit, and he's popping off. Other content creators see that, as I've told you before, and they respond to it. They see that and they go, ooh, I can get in on this as well. You know, have you ever considered that some of these people aren't grifting and that they actually do have the Hitlerian dog in them? It doesn't matter. Whether they're grifting or not doesn't fucking matter. You can have a dude who has like unhinged fucking politics, but ultimately their output is what is most important here, okay? If they have unhinged politics privately, it's usually going to come out. But what matters is what they're saying, because they're content creators. They have platforms, they have influence, they have prominence, they have audience members who love them. They have audience members who will be swayed by their attitude. Okay? I don't give a shit if they're genuinely, in this regard, I don't give a shit if they're genuinely on board with these politics, or if they're just simply doing it for the grift. The only reason why I care about the intentionality in this argument is like whether or not I can convince them not to do it. Okay?
What they're saying.
Give the crazies all of California. It's already the land of fruits and nuts. Yeah, we can give them California. I'm fine with that. They can live in LA. It's fine.
It has been 1 month since Southern California exploded in a dead, fierce fire
They can
tore
have
through
that.
the Palisades and beyond. Just a few hours later, on the other side of LA County,
fine with me.
another deadly fire breaks out, the Eaton Fire. Race to
This is also like such a lame way to be like, oh, they're burning in hell. Like, I mean, it's an implication. It's not even like direct. Just, you know.
across Altadena and Pasadena. The two fires charred more than 37,000
Right there.
acres.
They can all live-
destroyed
that's
over
like a lovely
16,000
community.
structures and cost 29 people their lives.
Too bad it didn't cause the right people their lives.
Months ago, she became an Asmongold watcher. Her biggest hits include saying that deportations are like evil people going to hell. Trans people should not have access to HRT because it's unnatural, being part of the deplatforming campaign, etc. I know this is drama, but I wanted to make people and well-meaning streamers who I like aware, like Mike from PA and others. Right-wing streamer radicalism. Step 1, go to Hassan's house. Step 2, get divorced. Step 3, watch Asmongold once. No, it's, I promise you two things. One, if there wasn't such a fucking high density of hogs that were looking for hog content, right-wing content, what the fuck's going on my camera today? If there wasn't such a high density of hogs that were like literally looking desperately for some kind of hog content on Twitch, which led to a massive amount of people gravitating towards Asmongold and Asmongold getting like fucking 50K every day doing right-wing commentary, none of these motherfuckers would do this, okay? They just wouldn't. That's it. For a lot of people, it's not like a genuinely held perspective. For many of them, they just don't care. It comes from a place of like, I don't really give a shit. I don't really necessarily give a shit about politics, but I see that this is like getting clout. And the perfect example I can give you is when the most prominent voice of politics on the platform before this last round was myself. Back then, did you think that every single streamer was hyper woke? I mean, there are plenty of streamers who were, but there were a lot of streamers who didn't necessarily give a shit, but basically played ball with that kind of politics. I think a lot of people in this community, because we're so intentional and so hyper aware of politics, assume that content creators in their fucking communities of rather apolitical people don't just like swing in every direction simply because, you know, that gains them more prominence. Okay? That is it. In many circumstances, that's precisely what's going on. Yeah. The reason I think that there was a baseline wokeness at Twitch was partially because whatever crime war hater, wait, what? Oh, yeah. Whatever baseline wokeness existed in the ether happened because of a reaction to Donald Trump. A lot of Gen Zers and their first foray into politics was resisting or reacting against Donald Trump, right? So they were woke. They were really woke. They were fucking rad libs. I even would regularly tell Minecraft stands to just like dial it back where they were going crazy. But basically, it swung in the opposite direction. And then the next wave of young people were annoyed at Brandon and the Democratic Party. And in that process, there were a lot of content creators who hit the, you know, fuck this woke nonsense button over and over again. And, you know, they did that when their clout was going down, and they got rewarded for it, which led to a bunch of other content creators who saw that and went, oh, I want to do that too. That's it. It will most likely swing back in the opposite direction again, but it's still annoying that there is there's a government that is also enforcing this kind of insane agenda, right? 2016 barely had any left streamers. I unfortunately fell down the conservative rabbit hole 12 years old because the amount of right-wingers there were on YouTube. Yeah, I know. I'm saying that I'm saying that changed though post 2016. There was some content. Bro, is it the hat? Is that what it is? What's going on? This fucking thing is, the camera is like busted today. I gotta take the hat off, I think. Ay, ay, ay. Annoying. Nope, I took the hat off and it's still having a hard time focusing. Out of nowhere, today is the day that it decides to break the autofocus. What makes you think the culture will swing back in a leftward direction? Just that's how usually things work. Like I said, it's a lot of people just basically react to whatever the fuck's happening. If I become a right-wing creator for money, will you not hate me? I will. I will despise you. Okay? Yeah, don't do that. Anyway, yo, what the fuck were you doing at the Twinks for Harris convention last night? We're trying to circle the wagons and have like some serious resistance against this growing fucking fascist movement. That's what I was doing. Anyway, there is no kids left content creator. I know. These young Trumpers have also never voted in years where their job prospects and salaries have gone up considerably. They haven't experienced austerity as grown-ass adults. I saw a Majority Report defending Hakeem Jeffries and it made me sad. What? No, they didn't. The Majority Report would never defend Hakeem Jeffries. I don't think Hakeem Jeffries has ever done anything that is defensible. Mr. Weeks, not Majority Report. Who's Mr. Weeks? Oh, I saw MR and I didn't understand. Here's a full TikTok VOD. Yeah, they were probably clowning on Jeffries. Anyway, Donald Trump holds his first cabinet meeting of his second term, which streamed about an hour ago. We'll start there, of course. And of course, Elon Musk, from what I understand, was also supposed to be present there. I don't know who the fuck Mr. Weeks is, but
we're going to solve a lot of problems. Came in, they hadn't spoken to President Putin in 2 years, and so we'll start here. We'll keep you advised.
I gotta go pee first.
Before we begin the cabinet, I'd like to have Scott and a couple of people say a few things, but most importantly, where are you? This is a gentleman who's going places, the head of HUD, and he's going to say, you all know him, and you're going to say grace, and then we'll have our meeting, right? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. President. Let's pray. Father, we thank you for this awesome privilege, Father, to be in your presence. God, thank you that you've allowed us to see this day. The Bible says that your mercies are new every morning. And Father God, we give you the glory and the honor. Thank you, God, for President Trump Father, for appointing us. Father God, thank you for anointing us to do this job. Father, we pray you'll give the president, the vice president wisdom, Father God, as they lead. Father, I pray for all of my colleagues that are here around the table and in this room. Lord God, we pray that we would lead with a righteous clarity. Father God, that as we serve the people of this country in every prospective agency, every job that we have, Father, we would humble ourselves before you, and we would lead in the manner that you've called us to lead and to serve. Father, the Bible says that blessed is the nation whose God is the Lord. Well, Father, we today honor you, and in your rightful place, Father, thank you for giving us this opportunity to restore faith in this country and be a blessing to the people of America. And Lord God, today in our meeting, we pray that you would be glorified in our conversation. In Jesus' name, amen.
That was a very good job you did. You've done that before, haven't you? So Scott Turner's a terrific young guy. He's heading up HUD, and he's going to make us all very proud, right?
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much. Great job. In just over 1 month, illegal border crossings have plummeted by numbers that nobody's actually ever seen before. It's much more than 100%. And we've unleashed American energy at levels that will soon be reported. But we think we're going to get it going very quickly. We have incredible people on the energy front.
Is the audio better here?
I think we have really great people on every front. I'll let you know if they're not good, but I think they really are. And we're fighting every day to group of people in this country.
Not really.
Tremendously successful guy. He's really working so hard, and he's got businesses to run. And in many ways, they say, "How do you do this?" And you know, it's he's sacrificing.
You missed the prayer. Start from the beginning. I don't care, man. I don't care about the fucking symbolic. God, I'm cursing so much. Remember when I told you guys that I wasn't? No, I heard the prayer. I was pissing, but I heard it. You guys, at this point, you have to realize that if you don't see me in front of the camera, that doesn't mean I'm not paying attention to what's going on. I'm still monitoring the stream. Okay? Secondly, I made a promise this year that I was going to curse less. And honestly, this administration has made that virtually impossible. Okay? Mr. Weeks is a K-Hive Bernie hater from like 2015, anti-Chapo, Twitter, Lamau. I don't know where these chatters find these guys later on. I don't know who the hell this person is. I don't even know why chatters are like, I'm really disappointed in Mr. Weeks. Like, who the hell is Mr. Weeks, man? I don't know. I really thought I'd get away with just saying frick every now and then, but holy moly, this has gotten out of control, dude. It is crazy. Every damn day, there's a new insane thing that's going on.
A lot. And getting a lot of praise, I'll tell you, but he's also getting hit, and we would expect that, and that's the way it works. So I'd like to have Elon Musk please say a few words.
Okay,
Thank you, Elon.
Please, Elon, say a few words.
I actually just call myself a humble tech support here because this is actually, as crazy as it sounds, that is almost a literal description of the work that the Doge team is doing, is helping fix the government computer systems. Many of these systems are extremely old. They don't communicate. There are a lot of mistakes in the systems. The software doesn't work. So we are actually tech support. It's ironic, but it's true. The overall goal here with the Doge team is to help address the enormous deficit. We simply cannot sustain as a country $2 trillion deficits. The interest rates, just the interest on the national debt, now exceeds the Defense Department spending. We spend a lot on the Defense Department, but we're spending like over $1 trillion on interest. If this continues, the country will become de facto bankrupt. It's not.
I like that. First of all, why is that hat riding so goddamn high on this loser's head? That's number one. Okay, I'm sorry. Insane that is the way he's wearing that. This dude cannot behave like a human, cannot appear like a human, and he is the wealthiest person on the planet. It is shocking that he does not have a single person in his corner that goes, hey man, maybe take the dunce cap off. You look like a goddamn goon. Okay? That's number one. Number two, I also like that we have just taken the oldest conservative commentary that Donald Trump's first administration actually completely eviscerated. This whole notion of like deficit, we're budget hawks, we're deficit hawks. Like Donald Trump destroyed that. Okay. He destroyed that. He was like, I don't care about any of this stuff. And now he brought it back in a very fashionable way, in the corniest, most like technocratic, annoying ways possible, by having the world's most autistic man come up and be like, yeah, we have to cut the deficit. Yeah, because your grandparents, they're stealing too much money from Medicare. And yeah, it's just like, how the fuck is anybody responding to this positively? How? It doesn't make any sense. Like, how are you a guy in Arkansas sitting around watching Fox News on the television, okay? And this guy shows up with his hat about to fall off his dome and going, yeah, the deficit, yeah, we need to cut expenditures so I can make more money. I need more of your money. And the guy's like, hell yeah, that's right. That's my artist right there. I love him. What the hell? That's mine right there. That boy, he ain't right in the head, but he's working for me. He's going to fix all the computers.
An optional thing. It is an essential thing. That's the reason I'm here. And taking a lot of flack and getting a lot of death threats, by the way. I'm going to like stack them up, you know. But if we don't do this, America will go bankrupt. That's why it has to be done. And I'm confident at this point, knock on wood, you know.
Yeah, the idea that like a super wealthy billionaire would only do this because of genuine care and consideration for the country, because they already have so much money that they don't have to make more money this way, is, I think, the dumbest position you can arrive at. Okay? How do you think he got to this level of wealth, dude? Nice little bro, keep crying. I don't think you understand. Okay? He is going to screw up your life more than me. Okay? I don't know why this is hard to comprehend. Like, you're just purely operating on, it's making the woke libtards get mad. Okay? That's it. That's the only thing you got. Your one note. You're like, you're not scratching the surface of why I'm angry. I'm angry because he's going to kill your grandparents. Okay? I'm angry because he's going to make it so that you can't retire at a reasonable age, that you're going to retire at the age of 85. Okay? That's why I'm angry. I'm angry for you. You're too stupid to be angry, or rather, you're too stupid to be angry at the right reasons. So I'm angry on your behalf. Okay? Oh, we got him. Bro, but how's he going to kill my grandparents? What do you think will happen to everyone's grandparents when they cut Medicaid and Medicare? Okay? All of these conversations around deficit hawking do not revolve around auditing the Pentagon. Okay? They're not looking at the actual insane amounts of money that we're just wasting away for corporations to get subsidies and then pump it directly back into stock buybacks so that the quarterly earnings report looks great for the shareholders, okay? That's not what they're talking about. When they say we are going to cut Medicaid, okay, because we're cutting waste, fraud, and abuse in Medicaid, the real people that do the waste, fraud, and abuse are the providers on Medicaid. It's not random individuals that are doing it, but they're gutting Medicaid for random individuals by claiming there's waste, fraud, and abuse. Oh, but many of you do not have the fucking foresight. Conservatism revolves around being selfish and harming others. And it revolves around not having, I think you're trying to take an emotional argument which doesn't hold up. I think you're responding to the shapes and colors that you see on screen and not responding to the words that are coming out of my mouth. This is not an emotional argument. When Republicans say they want to cut Medicaid and Medicare, which is exactly what they're advocating for in the next round of budget cuts that they just pushed for, okay, that is going to harm your parents that rely on it, okay? By saying they're going to kill my grandparents, you are, though. First and foremost, cutting Medicaid and Medicare means cutting health insurance and health care for your grandparents. What do you think happens when they don't have health care? These are people who desperately need it. What do you think happens when they don't have it? This happens in America all the time. It's a thing that happens in America that doesn't happen elsewhere, as a matter of fact. There are people, for example, that say, hey, I have a wedding coming up, so I'm just not going to pay for insurance. Okay? I'm just not going to pay for my insulin. You know what happens when you don't pay for your insulin? You die. Okay? You die. It's that simple. Medicaid covers 21% of Americans nationally, 83 million low-income Americans, 4 in 10 children, 1 in 4 adults with disabilities, nearly 50% of kids with special needs, 41% of births nationwide, 5 in 8 nursing home residents, 32% of people in Mike Johnson's home state. Okay? This is all information from the KFF, the Kaiser Foundation. Kaiser Family Foundation, okay? This is not an emotional argument. This is just telling you what the truth is and understandably getting mad about the truth, okay? I'm getting upset for you. I'm getting upset for myself as well. But how do you think this works when you cut that? Just because you think it won't touch you because you lack the foresight to understand doesn't change the reality, okay? So listen to what I'm saying. Me getting upset in the process because I worry about the future of American society does not change the actual things that I'm talking about. Like, focus on not the way I'm presenting this argument, but instead focus on the words that are coming out of my mouth. Some of you literally just want to hear a Ben Shapiro type, okay? That's right, I'm giving you a logical argument. That's all you want to hear. You're like, oh, you're being emotional, so it means you've lost the debate. That is not the case, okay? Yes, I'm a passionate person. It's so crazy how much dumb people exclusively focus on the optics of a situation and not the words that are coming out of the mouths of people, okay? Ironically enough, Ben Shapiro, who has consistently said facts don't care about your feelings, has never made a logical, factually based argument. He always talks about his feelings. But the reality of the matter is he presents it in this weird sociopathic nerdy ass way. So a lot of dumbasses who only respond to shapes and colors go, well, that guy's apparently very smart because he's logical. He seems logical. That is the problem. People are just tired of the emotional argument. So I'm not presenting an emotional argument. I'm not presenting an emotional argument. I'm passionate because I feel a lot of resentment towards wealthy parasitic billionaires completely dismantling the administrative state and laying off tens of thousands of employees that play a very important role in making sure that your food is not fucking poisoned, okay? When you go out and purchase at the grocery store, I care about those things. So I'm actually angry because they're doing this. They're evil for doing this, but you don't hear the words that are coming out of my mouth. You only look at the emotions. Listen to the words. Please. I just gave you factually accurate information. I gave you statistics about what this looks like. Okay? And you just kept repeating, nah, you're just too emotional. All these fucking losers love to rolling on the floor laughing emoji about all this shit like it will never hurt them. Just the libtards. Fast forward 6 months when their sickly built malnutrition wife can't stop vaping while pregnant and their son is born early and they end up not being able to hold him before he dies 3 weeks old. And they're left with no kid and a bill for 113 grand, hypothetically, of course. Yeah. But the reality is when that inevitable thing happens to them, they still won't understand. They'll just be more angry and more resentful and think, we just didn't kill enough trans people or something. That's probably the reason. We just didn't deport enough Guatemalans. That's probably why my child died and I'm now having to foot the bill of 113 grand. Okay? Yeah, I'm sorry that the reality that you are facing is impossible for you to comprehend, and you think you're just never going to be harmed by this system. And when you do inevitably get harmed by the system, you're probably too stupid to recognize who's doing the harm, because many years ago, you thought a guy was being emotional when he was trying to describe it to you, piece by piece. Okay? Calm down, please. It is truly difficult not to just pull the fuck these people attitude, okay? I get why so many liberals I get why so many liberals just have so much spite and resentment towards conservatives, and just like their entire worldview inevitably revolves around dominating conservatives and owning conservatives, in the same way that so much of the conservative politics revolves around spite against liberals, the liberal elite, the gay libtards that have ruined their lives. It's so frustrating, especially when I watch people, especially when I watch people deliberately and voluntarily advocate for their own demise.
Look at my wooden head. It's got a lot of wood up there. That we can actually find $1 trillion in savings. That would be roughly 15% of the $7 trillion budget. And obviously that can only be done with the support of everyone in this room. And I'd like to thank everyone for your support. Thank you very much. This can only be done with your support. So it's really, DOGE is a support function for the president and for the agencies and departments to help achieve those savings.
It's socialism. Thank you for the 5 gifted subs.
In reduction in fraud and waste. And we bring the receipts. So people say like, well, is this real? Just go to doge.gov. We line item by line item, we specify each item. So, and I should say, we will make mistakes. We won't be perfect, but when we make a mistake, we'll fix it very quickly. So for example, with...
Yeah. For example, when we like impromptu fired a bunch of employees that were working on really serious stuff, we had to bring them back immediately. We just had to do that. We said, oopsie, my bad. We fired the guys controlling the nukes. Yeah. The other side of this supposedly logical and unemotional plea that Elon Musk is making is that it's just a fucking lie. Okay? He said they cut $8 billion already. It turns out they cut $8 million. Okay? It doesn't even make a dent in the vast expenditure of the federal government. $8 million. They just straight up lied. Does that not piss you off? This is the thing I don't understand about conservatives is that, like, they just don't even get mad when they find out that they've been duped. They just don't believe it. Like, there are people who literally think that Elon Musk is going to cut $1 trillion of the federal budget, okay, and then turn around and gift $5,000 back to every individual American. Yes, the facts are facts, and I don't think cutting Medicaid is good because of the facts you brought up, not because of that dumbass argument you had of they're going to kill your grandparents. Brother, the facts that I brought up is going to lead to your grandparents dying. That is my point. You're so out of touch. Yawn. Give me something better. It is the same argument. You're just literally upset that I'm giving you the conclusion of the argument, and then I'm walking back and explaining to you step by step how we get to that conclusion of the argument. I think we truly do have a crisis. We do definitely have a crisis of people just not caring about the truth. We do have a crisis of people who are simply too stupid. That is a real issue. Like, not only are people too goddamn stupid, they're not living on the same planet as other people. Like, there is no established, like, objective truth at all.
USAID, one of the things we accidentally canceled very briefly was Ebola, Ebola prevention.
Is this the Houthi and the Hamas broadcast? Yes, Papa Vincent. This is the Houthi and the Hamas broadcast. Welcome. Okay? Yeah. It's the Houthis and Hamas that are going to ruin your life, not the fucking guy that we're talking about right now. They're going to one day take over your life. They're going to ruin it. Poorest nation on the planet.
I think we all want Ebola prevention. So we restored the Ebola prevention immediately, and there was no interruption. But we do need to move quickly if we're to achieve a $1 trillion deficit reduction in financial year 2026. It requires saving $4 billion per day, every day, from now through the end of September. But we can do it, and we will do it. Thank you.
Would you have any questions of Elon while we're on the subject of those? Because we'll finish off with that. And if you would,
he is literally brown nosing Elon, dude. I mean, maybe there isn't a lot of friction between Trump and Elon because he's just glazing Elon. As long as Elon's pockets keep funding Trump, and as long as Elon maintains Twitter as this like insane neo-Nazi platform that is constantly pumping out within the algorithm pro-Trump propaganda, he's always gonna stand by.
If you have any questions, please ask. You could ask me or Elon. Go ahead, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Musk. I just wanted to ask you, the President Trump put out a Truth Social today saying that everybody in the cabinet was happy with you. I just wondered if you had heard otherwise, and if you had heard anything about members of the cabinet who weren't happy with the way things were going, and if so, what are you doing to address those any dissatisfaction?
And let the cabinet speak just for a second. Is anybody unhappy with Elon? If you are, well, throw them out of here. Is anybody unhappy?
Oh my God, bro. This is literally, listen. Don't get mad at me for showing this, because I know a lot of like hard leftists are gonna maybe get mad at this, but like we are officially at this stage, okay? We are officially at, let me see if I can find, don't you dare say Stalin. No.
North Korea.
No, I was gonna show you the old lady, the famous example. Where is it? God, all of these videos are so annoying. I just want to straight up show the old lady that always does the broadcast. It is impossible. Oh, here. I love her. She's amazing. Kim Jong-un gave her an apartment in Pyongyang. It was awesome. I wish her well, and this lady has had a wonderful blossoming career, and I do love her, and I think she's done an incredible job, all things considered, and she deserved the new apartment that she got in Pyongyang. I was like legitimately excited. Remember when Kim Jong-un actually brought her to her apartment and she was crying? Tears of joy. Amazing. My queen.
16년 1월 6일 10시 주체조선의 첫 수소탄 시험이 성공적으로 진행되었다.
Anyway, but that's like, what is this? What is this? Clap for Elon now. Look at this.
And if so, what are you doing to
Speak just for a second.
Yeah, exactly.
Is anybody unhappy with Elon? If you are, well, throw them out of here. Is anybody unhappy?
Clap for him now. Hey, yo. God damn, dude. God damn. This is crazy. How is this not ringing any alarm bells in the minds of conservatives? Like, are they just not paying attention? Like, if you're if you're Asmongold and you're watching this, do you go based? yeah, that's based. Elon's pretty smart guy. Yeah, based.
I have a lot of respect for Elon and that he's doing this, and some disagree a little bit, but I will tell you, for the most part, I think everyone's not only happy, they're thrilled. So go ahead, Elon.
And President Trump has put together, I think, the best cabinet ever, literally. So, and I do not give false praise. This is an incredible group of people. I don't think that such a talented team has actually ever been assembled. I think it's literally the best cabinet that the country has ever had.
We've already been forced to be this guy's test subjects by having to share the same roses as spontaneously exploding cars. Very awesome. This dynamic is now official government policy. Yeah. Musk, I should say we will make mistakes. We won't be perfect, but when we make a mistake, we fix it quickly. So, for example, with USAID, one of the things we accidentally canceled briefly was Ebola prevention. I feel like it's getting to a point where I guess if everyone is crazy, then the only sane people remaining are going to be seen as the abnormal people. Like, that is increasingly what is happening. If everyone is stupid, then, if you're not as stupid as your fellow Americans, then you're going to be looked at like a weirdo. That is officially where we are. Like, the style of commentary, the things that people are saying, like everything is just getting dumber and dumber. It's just sad to, I guess, see that. It's sad to see people. It's sad to see people just clap for their own demise. That's what kills me about it. Like, so many people look at this and go, "No, this is good." They're shaking things up.
I think the company should be incredibly appreciative of the people in this room.
Mr. President, thank you. Mr. Musk, are there about half of the government employees so far appear to have responded to your request for what they've been doing over the past week? Is there a timeline in place for next moves for people being fired, and when can the American people expect to see results from that?
Yes. Well, to be clear, like the I think that email perhaps was misinterpreted as a performance review, but actually it was a pulse check review. Do you have a pulse? Do you have a pulse and 2 neurons? So if you have a pulse and 2 neurons, you can reply to an email. This is, I think not a high bar, is what I'm saying. This is, anyone could accomplish this. But what we are trying to get to the bottom of is we think there are a number of people on the government payroll who are dead, which is probably why they can't respond. And some people who are not real people, like they're literally fictional individuals that are collecting paychecks. Well, somebody's collecting paychecks.
I'm dying, dude. It's just, again, I'm going to repeat this point, but lying is OP. Please nerf, okay? You can just straight up say whatever you want. Nobody's going to fact check you. What are you going to do? You're going to write an op-ed at the Washington Post? Nope, you can't do that. Jeff Bezos decided that is not allowed anymore. Okay, New York Times is too busy eating Israeli propaganda on a daily basis. Okay, doing as much Hasbara as they possibly can. Where are you going to go? Who is going to correct the record on this? Okay, like, does he know he's lying or does he believe this? I don't know. He's probably too stupid to know the truth, but it doesn't matter. Okay, like the notion that there are tens of thousands of people that are working at the federal government and getting paychecks that are just simply dead is insane. If that was the case, they wouldn't have mass fired probationary employees. Okay, they would have immediately hired people because that's how you're supposed to do this. For the record, just so you understand, the way you're supposed to do this, if you were to do this at all, which I'm not an advocate for like mass firing of federal government employees, but if you wanted to do that, if you wanted to figure out if there was any fraud happening, you would have to hire people, not just like a bunch of Doge dickheads, but like actually hire auditors, okay? Forensic accountants, auditors that would have to go to these highly specialized fields and talk to the management to figure out and make an accurate assessment of who is actually working and who is not, okay? They're not doing any of that because the goal is to just rip it apart. You can't just like do an audit by being like, yeah, send me an email and I will have AI go through it. This is a process that is long, arduous, takes months, okay? Very complicated. It's not just something you break, because when you break the federal government, when you break the regulatory agencies, when you break the administrative state, the impact of that is far more vast than you think, okay? Having said that, however, the notion that there are tens of thousands of dead people working for the federal government and just like collecting a paycheck is ridiculous, okay? It is ridiculous. Ridiculous. It's just made up. He's just making it up, okay? It is just as made up as like saying that voter fraud happens so much, and that's why we have to do voter suppression in order to combat voter fraud, because tens of millions of undocumented migrants are going out and voting in a country where out of the eligible voter population, the majority doesn't vote. The plurality doesn't vote consistently. Like, what do you mean? Too many people are voting. We got to dial it back. It's just made up. They just made it up and they keep lying about it over and over and over again. And then sometimes those lies turn into January 6th. It's a logical extension of the lies told by average Republicans as well, for the record. Do you think they actually believe their own lies? I don't care. I don't care if they believe their own lies or not. What I care about is the dumbass Americans who eat this up and they think, no, this is great. I actually do believe it. There are fictional employees that are getting paychecks from the federal government by the tens of thousands. Like, will they be able to find one or two people? I'm sure. And you'll know. If they find one or two people, they will publicize it, just like they do with migrant crime, another insane concept that they came up with, claiming that undocumented migrants are responsible for hundreds of thousands of murders every year. That's what Donald Trump said. That's what Donald Trump ran on. The true number of non-citizens, both undocumented and documented, every fiscal year that do murders is 29, okay? It's 29. The idea that they're like, the idea that they're doing a large share of these like murders is so insane. It's just made up, okay? Not percent, not 1,000, 29. But they just lied about us so much, and the Democrats never actually responded to that. They never counter-messaged against it. So it doesn't even matter at this point. It might as well be the truth, right? Like, that's what we believe now. Sorry. That's just what we believe now.
Paychecks on a fictional individual. So we're just literally trying to figure out, are these people real? Are they alive? And can they write an email? Which I think is a reasonable expectation for the American public would have at least that expectation of someone in the public sector.
Mr. Musk, roughly a million.
This is not it.
How is it 29? What? On the news, there's footage of way more than 29? No, there isn't. There literally isn't. That's why they heavily publicize any time an undocumented migrant does any crime whatsoever. But the thing is, we should have zero illegal immigrant crimes because we shouldn't have any. Brother, there are 20 million migrants, undocumented migrants from all around the world living on U.S. soil, okay? The notion that they are all of one mind. Oh, this guy's a One Piece logo on his profile, too. What the hell is going on? If your house is on fire and you're trying to put it out, do you focus on the candles or do you focus on the rest of the house? Do you focus on the guy lighting a match or do you focus on the rest of the house that's on fire? It makes no sense. America has a very high murder rate, okay? It does. Very high murder rate. You're hyper-focusing on one grouping of individuals that comprise of 20 million people by Trump's own numbers, okay? And they're not even unified. They're not like a monolith. Undocumented migrants come from all around the planet. They come from all different walks of life. The notion that they're all unified hive mind is just pure idiotic racism. You got 20,000 homicides and involuntary, instances of manslaughter, and you're talking about 29 of them. You're out of your mind. Like, that is insane. That's a laughable notion. Yeah, one is too many is a ridiculous argument to make regardless. Like, you're arguing from a very stupid position. Like, yeah, I know one is too many. I agree. The problem is you can't group an entire 20 million population as though they're all responsible for the crimes of, 20 people, 30 people, let's say 1,000 people. Okay. This number also includes car accidents too. Yes. And this number also includes documented non-citizens as well as undocumented non-citizens. It is so crazy to me that we have approached this level of normalization for stupidity to this degree where people are just like, yeah, I don't get it. Yeah, kick them all out. It doesn't make sense. It's like saying we should arrest and we should just immediately arrest every white man, okay? Because white men are overrepresented in the child sexual assault cases, okay? White men are overrepresented in pedophilia cases, okay? So we should just automatically arrest all white men. That's crazy. That's a crazy thing to advocate for. Okay, stop. Guys, please, whenever I say this, everyone goes, yes, now you're cooking based. And then dumbasses see that and go, see, they're being serious. Look at Hassan's radical community, okay? Don't even fucking meme about it. Gives me black crime statistic vibes. That is what it is. It is the same thing. Ironically enough, they do that for black people too. So men are responsible for the overwhelming majority of crime. Men across the board. Not just white men, but men across the board. I guess we have to jail all men, okay? It's ridiculous.
It's not a high bar, guys. Come on.
The employees have responded so far to this email. Does that mean that the remaining 1 million or so federal employees now risk being terminated? And is it your understanding and expectation when you post a directive on X that the cabinet secretaries will follow that order? Because several agencies have instructed employees that this is voluntary or not to respond.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so I guess it was like last week, the president encouraged me via Truth Social and also via phone call to be more aggressive. And I was like, okay, yes, sir, Mr. President, we will indeed do that. The president is the commander-in-chief. I do what the president asks. And I said, can we send out an email to everyone just saying, what did you get done last week? And the president said yes, so it did that. And, we got a partial response. We're going to send another email. But our goal is not to be capricious or unfair. We want to give people every opportunity to send an email. And the email could simply be, what I'm working on is too sensitive or classified to describe. like literally just that would be sufficient. You know, I think this is just common sense.
And what is your target number for how many workers, employees you're looking to cut total?
We wish to keep everyone who is doing a job that is essential and doing that job well. But if the job is not essential or they're not doing the job well, they obviously should not be on the public payroll.
I'd like to add, wait a minute, wait. I'd like to add that those million people that haven't responded, though, Elon, they are on the bubble. You know, I wouldn't say that we're thrilled about it. You know, they haven't responded. Now, maybe they don't exist. Maybe we're paying people that don't exist. Don't forget, we just got here. This group just got here. But those people are on the bubble, as they say. You know, maybe they're going to be gone. Maybe they're not around. Maybe they have other jobs. Maybe they moved and they're not where they're supposed to be. A lot of things could have happened. I wouldn't say that Biden ran a very tight administration. They spent money like nobody's ever spent money before, wasted money. The Green New Scam, all of the different things they spent money on. And you've seen that. You've seen that with some of the things that I read in speeches. I read them and people can't believe when I read them. 20 million here, 30 million here for, you know, a little educational course on something. Circumcision, right? Circumcision.
What?
$20 million to inform the people of such and such a country on other things and other things other than that. So, yeah, those people are, right now we're trying to find out who those people are that haven't responded. Now, there'll be some age.
Bro, this country is run by the stupidest people. Oh my God. This country is run by absolute dumbasses and a sea of absolute dumbasses who love these absolute dumbasses and are just going, hell yeah, king. Hell yeah, king. Do the damn thing. Own those libtards. Hell yeah, brother. Oops, I lost my job. Probably because of trans people and woke. Oh, man. If only there were no trans people, then I wouldn't have lost my federal government job.
Agencies like Marco has people within state that are right now doing very classified, very confidential work, and we understand that. We've talked, and, you know, we're being a little more surgical. And Marco's doing a lot of things himself. He's and some of the secretaries. So we're going to be going to them. We're going to be talking about it today. We're going to ask them to do their own Doge. In other words, they'll look in their group and I spoke with Lee Zeldin, and he thinks he's going to be cutting 65% or so of the people from environmental. And we're going to speed up the process, too, at the same time. You had a lot of people that weren't doing their job. They were just obstructionists, and a lot of people that didn't exist, I guess, Lee, too. You found a lot of empty spots that the people weren't there. They didn't exist. I think education is going to be one of those. You go around Washington, you see all these buildings for the Department of Education. We want to move education back to the states where it belongs. Iowa should have education. Indiana should run their own education. You're going to see education go way up. Right now, we're ranked at the very bottom of the list, but we're at the top of the list in one thing: the cost per pupil.
Cost per pupil. Yeah, we're at the bottom of the list, which is true. Which is why we should not move in the direction of what those other countries are doing, you know, robust, expansive public education across the board, but instead move in the direction that made our education worse to begin with, which is rampant privatization, budget cuts, charter schools that are unaccountable. Okay? Incredible stuff. We are, once again, advocating for our own demise. Over and over again. And people clap for this like seals, dude. It is crazy.
Spend more money per pupil than any other country in the world. And yet it's Denmark and Norway, Sweden, and you hate to say this, and
you hate to say it.
And you know, we're going to get along very well with China, but it's a competitor. They're at the top of the list. They're among the top 10 usually, and they're a very big country, so we can't use that as an excuse.
Yeah, I wonder why. I wonder why Chinese education is at the top of the list, dude. What could it be? I wonder what it is. Huh. Why did China ban after-school tutoring? China has announced an outright ban on for-profit tutoring services for core school subjects. Xi Jinping's government also reveals strict new rules for governing how non-profit tutoring can be carried out. But why has China taken this step? While nothing is certain, the regulations are probably due to a combination of factors, according to reports from various sources. To alleviate the pressure on young people, to increase the birth rate, to protect the country's interests. It's also to ensure that everyone is getting the appropriate amount of education from public schooling, and that there isn't like anyone that can, by spending more money, anyone can. Preply is an incredible news source. This is a thing that isn't from just Preply. Preply is just the first article that came up. Okay? Jesus Christ, chatters. And I know that they are now doing a black market for private tutoring, which I am certain that the Chinese government inevitably will crack down on as well, okay? Before you bring this up. Yeah. China doesn't want to do pay to win education. Also, not only that, but even outside of private tutoring services, the Chinese education structure is still hyper focused on having a robust public education system. Okay? Obviously, Confucianism spans back thousands of years at this point in terms of like the early established understanding of a meritocratic approach. Okay, in some ways that has not changed, and I'm sure that there is a cultural argument that many people will make, but ultimately they have an underlying robust public education structure. And it's not just China. I don't like using China as an example because a lot of people immediately hit xenophobic notes on it. Okay? Look at Norway. Look at Finland. Okay? If you want to understand, look at the white nations. Okay? Look at European nations that consistently outperform the United States of America. Even if there are private education alternatives in these countries, okay, they're very rare, or the ones that do have a private-public partnership are heavily regulated. Heavily. And of course, those countries are also suffering from the same austerity and the same privatization initiatives that have taken root in the United States of America in this cancerous way many, many decades prior.
Right? Because we're a very big country too, but we were ranked last time under Biden. We were ranked 40 out of 40. They do the 40 certain nations that they've done for a long time. It seems to be 40 for whatever reason. And we were ranked number 40. A year ago we were 38, then we were 39. We hit 40. And so we're last in that, and we're first in cost per pupil. So I would say that's unacceptable. Lawrence, you have something? Go ahead.
Mr. President, I know you like competition, and I know it's early, so which department are you most impressed with? And then, which department have you received the most resistance from?
Well, I think both of those questions are a little bit, well, you're a pretty controversial guy. Look, it's very early. Right now, I think I'm impressed with everybody, so far everybody. If I wasn't in the first month with, and some of them just got here, they just got approved 2 days ago, right? But I think I'm very impressed with everybody. So far, I'm very happy with all of the choices. I think that Elon has done incredibly with some groups, and some groups are much easier than others. It is true. State is a, very difficult situation. We're right now negotiating very successfully, I think, with Russia and with Ukraine, and we have a lot of countries involved, and we have to be a little bit careful what we do and who we're terminating. But Marco is doing that I think he's going to be very precise. It's going to be, we're cutting down government. We're cutting down the size of government. We have to. We're bloated. We're sloppy. We have a lot of people that aren't doing their job. We have a lot of people that don't exist. You look at Social Security as an example. I mean, you have so many people in Social Security where, if you believe it, they're 200 years old. And what we're doing is finding out a check.
If we have the highest cost per student, why is ours worse? It's the same as healthcare. Literally, every social service that the American government offers is not only more expensive than it should be because of costly middlemen, okay, and private public partnerships that also rely on government subsidies, but also partially because, obviously, in comparison to other countries, American salaries are higher as well. Doesn't matter because the cost of living is also significantly higher, and the government doesn't make up for any of those needs that the people have with any sort of social safety nets whatsoever. Like, one of the greatest examples I can give you is transportation, right? Most competent governments will have public transit as an alternative. It's a infinitely more affordable alternative. Most of these countries that we're talking about have walkable cities and public transit. In America, you got to have a car, okay? We don't have, here, Another example, we don't have childcare, like government provided childcare at all. Okay. So you have to pay for daycare. That's, again, an additional cost. If you're a teacher with a child, you now have to also have this additional cost. There are so many different reasons as to why, although our salaries are higher in comparison to our European counterparts, the cost of living is significantly higher as well. All of that, of course, factors into our expansive GDP, but it doesn't necessarily yield benefits for the average living conditions of the average American. Can you explain something I'm missing? Where the fuck did there are people missing? People are not there, or fake people that don't exist talking point come from? I feel like this came out of nowhere and suddenly is an accepted thing. Is this just lying is overpowered? Yes. Everything is busted.
Checks going out for that, and if somebody cashing those checks, who's maybe 35 years old, okay? So there's a lot of dishonesty, there's a lot of fraud. But I think at this moment, I'll take Elon off the spot. I think that he's impressed. He said it very well, better than I can say it, that he's impressed with the people in this room, very impressed. And I am too, and it's too early to say, but I think everybody's on board. They all know. We want to balance a budget. We want to have a balanced budget within a reasonably short period of time, meaning maybe by next year or the year after, but maybe even sooner than that.
Mr. President, your number one issue was the border. We just got new information that they're doxing our federal agents. They're putting their personal information out there, these activists, and they're disrupting the operation. So you got Trinidad Aga running off.
Well, we have activists, that's true. And a lot of those,
what are we going to do about the activists?
Yeah, a lot of those activists are acting illegally, and we'll give that to our Attorney General, and she'll take a look at that very strongly. But we also having tremendous support from Border Patrol, from ICE. The ICE agents have been unbelievable. Border Patrol, their leadership at Border Patrol has been incredible, and they're working very well. And as you know, and I saw you reporting it this morning, actually, we set records on the least number of illegal aliens coming in, migrants coming into our country that we've had in more than 50 years. And we did this all within a period of weeks because we took over a mess. The world was pouring in. And remember, they were coming in from jails and prisons and mental institutions and insane asylums, and they were gang members and drug dealers. Anybody wanted to come in, they came. And from not just South America, from all over the world. So it's amazing what they've done. And Christie and Tom Holman, the job they've done has been absolutely amazing. We set records for, and we want people to come into our country, by the way, but they want to come in, they have to come in legally. I want that to be really understood. We want people in our country, but they have to come in legally.
Can I follow on that, Mr. President, about the Trump Gold Card idea that you unveiled yesterday?
I hope you like.
I have way more information, but the question is, does this reflect a view on your part that the American immigration system has never been properly monetized as you feel it should be?
Well, not so much monetized. It hasn't been properly run.
It has been monetized. It used to be 500K, then it went up to 1 million, and now he's bringing that price up to 5 million. It's always been monetized for those who can pay to get into the country. He was talking about education. No, he's now talking about the Trump Gold Card, which is another initiative that they unveiled yesterday. Instead of the pre-existing EB1 structure, they are now going to be gold cards because it's Trump. But for those of you who don't know, it's always been pay to win. Immigration has always been pay to win. Okay?
I get calls from, as an example, companies where they want to hire.
It wasn't 500K. It's 500K for select location or 1 mil in other locations per EB5. The 500K ones weren't as widely available. Both were offered simultaneously. Yeah, well, don't worry. Trump is 10x that cost.
The number one student at a school, a person comes from India, China, Japan, lots of different places, and they go to Harvard, the Wharton School of Finance, they go to Yale, they go to all great schools, and they graduate number one in their class, and they're made job offers, but the offer is immediately rescinded because you have no idea whether or not that person can stay in the country. I want to be able to have that person stay in the country. These companies can go and buy a gold card, and they can use it as a matter of recruitment. At the same time, the company is using that money to pay down debt. We're going to pay down a lot of debt with that. And I think the gold card is going to be used by, not only for that, I mean, they'll be used by companies. I mean, I could see Apple I've spoken with Tim Cook, and by the way, he's going to make a $500 billion investment in the country only because of the results of the election. And I think because of tariffs. He's going to want to be in the country because of tariffs. Because if you're in the country, there is no tariff. If you're out of the country, you got to pay tariffs. And that's going to be a great investment, I think, that he's making. I know it's going to be a great investment. But we have to be able to get people in the country, and we want people that are productive people. And I will tell you, the people that can pay $5 million, they're going to create jobs. They're going to spend a lot of money on jobs. They're going to have to pay taxes on that too. So they're going to be hiring people. They're going to be bringing people in and companies in. And I don't know, maybe it will sell like crazy. I happen to think it's going to sell like crazy. It's a bargain. But we'll know fairly soon. I think.
Not gonna lie, if I was a wealthy person from a different country, I would not be spending $5 million to come to America right now. Like, I think America has always been the #1 place for brain drain. And I would say that at least in this upcoming decade, it's probably not the best place to go to. And I say this as someone who came here at the age of 18, okay? Straight up. $5 million is way too much. Yeah, I mean, this is for a select few, like, very wealthy individuals, dude. That's what it is. Very wealthy families. You know, like Russian oligarchs and stuff. There's a reverse brain drain of Chinese scientists. Yeah. Yeah, the brain drain situation is so bad for America that, like, from what I understand, even Japanese scientists are going to China. Wake up. No, I'm sick. I'm sick to my stomach, fam. Ay, ay, ay.
I think Howard and Scott, a few of you really are responsible for it. But Howard, if you want to discuss that for a couple of minutes, I think I'd like to have you. I think it's going to be a very successful program. This is commerce.
So the EB-5 program, which has been around for many years, had investment of $1 million into projects in America. And those projects were often suspect, they didn't really work out, there wasn't any oversight of it. And so for $1 million investment, you got a visa and then you came into the country and ended up with a green card. So it was poorly overseen, poorly executed. Then you had our border open where millions of people came through. So the idea is we will have a proper business. We will modify the EB-5 agreement. Christy and I are working on it together. For $5 million, they'll get a license from the Department of Commerce. Then they'll make a proper investment on the EB-5.
Oh, Jesus Christ. All right. Let's get to the, we'll look at Daniel Dale's fact checks from this cabinet meeting. Let's see how much he can get to in the first 10 minutes.
To Jeff Zeleny at the White House. Jeff, again, there are a lot of things that we are going to get to in our discussion here and our, not just our analysis, but again, our fact check. But I do want to start effectively where this meeting started about an hour ago, which is where Elon Musk was asked to present what he was doing, the idea that the richest man in the world was standing up, holding court in the cabinet room, dressed in his dark MAGA outfit, and his allegation that what they are doing is, he says, not to purge people, or it was not, in his words, a performance review. He claimed it was a pulse check.
Dana, it was extraordinary. Elon Musk did not have a seat at the table. That was reserved for confirmed cabinet secretaries and those who are awaiting confirmation, as well as a handful of senior staff. But he was center stage. There's no doubt about it. And that fact is not unusual. We have seen senior advisors to many presidents in a cabinet meeting, but never have I heard one be asked to speak and be given the floor like this. The cabinet of this administration was essentially the backdrop for another wide-ranging press conference we've seen the president do. But on Elon Musk, once again, this is the second time we've heard him talk extensively about his plans. But of course, since we saw him in the Oval Office a couple weeks ago, so much has changed, largely that email that he sent out over the weekend. And that, of course, has caused some of the first rifts between some departments, some agency heads, and the administration, and certainly the federal workforce. But the president asked him to defend that and clearly made the very obvious point that he's on the same page with Elon Musk, that he does believe, he called it a pulse check. He said that 1 million people answered this response, this email, which means more than 1 million did not answer it. And he said they're looking for fraud in the system. But also reporters asked the president and asked cabinet secretaries if there was any dissent on this topic. This is what the president said about that.
And let the cabinet speak just for a second. Happy with it. If you are, we'll throw him out of here.
That's not Daniel Dale. He's going to come in a second.
So that laughter there belied the obvious point that cabinet secretaries, of course, work for the president. So there is no one going to be voicing dissent, at least in that room. It's unclear how long this cabinet meeting will actually last, if it is a question and answer session with reporters the entire time, or if the president's actually going to hear advice from members of his cabinet. Certainly in nearly an hour, it was about 4 minutes short of an hour before we dipped out, there was no room for dissent. The vice president spoke at the very end there, but the president went on to say that the million people who did not respond to those emails may be on the bubble. And we do know that mass layoffs are coming. As we speak, agencies are reviewing plans. But one other separate piece of news, the president, at the very beginning, he said that Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky will be coming here to the White House on Friday. But again, making no security guarantees from the U.S., Dana.
Yeah, he said that's going to be up to Europe to secure Ukraine's, to give Ukraine security, but also did say, as part of this land deal that they're talking about, that U.S. personnel would be there, made this sort of suggestion that perhaps there would be some fortification, if you will, just with business people. But when it comes to actual security, that would be up to Europe. Okay, thank you so much, Jeff. Now let's get to our Daniel Dale. Daniel, you were listening closely. There's so many things I want to ask you about. Can we just start with one of the things that we heard at the end there, because this was just completely factually inaccurate, saying point blank, and I'm pulling it up here, that CBS...
Did you imagine it would be like this when Trump won? Yes, I did. Why wouldn't it be like this? They actively said that it was going to be exactly like this. I just didn't think that as many planes would be falling out of the sky as we've experienced so far. That's the only thing that's been like kind of shocking. Oh, also, the administration actively saying that they're pro-Russia, like to the degree that they have said that they're pro-Russia. That was true. Those are the two things that were shocking. Outside of that, the dismantling of the administrative state, like that's all stuff that they said they were going to do, and they're doing it. I did expect that.
Completely took her answers, Kamala Harris's answers, in the 60 Minutes interview that Donald Trump is suing over, and changed them. There were questions and there was some controversy around it, but the idea that they just completely changed her answers, we now see the transcript. It's available thanks to the FCC. It's not true.
Yeah, that's a good fact check, Dana. There was just so much in this cabinet meeting, so let me run through some of the big ones. We heard this claim again from the president. He's been saying it over and over in the past week that the U.S. has provided Ukraine with $350 billion worth of aid, and that this is about 3 times what Europe collectively has provided. That is not true. The $350 billion number is not true, nor is the idea that the U.S. has provided way more than Europe. So according to a think tank in Germany that closely tracks this aid, it is Europe that has collectively provided more aid to Ukraine than the U.S. has. In terms of aid committed, it's about double, about $260 billion for Europe to about $100 billion for the U.S. In terms of aid allocated, it's narrower, but Europe still leads. The president also repeated this claim he's been saying over and over, that the U.S. ranks 40th out of 40 in some education rankings. I specifically asked the White House what those rankings were. They were not able to point to any of them. It appears not to exist. In fact, the U.S. is above average in reading and science, and below average, though far from last, in math rankings, even of wealthy countries. He said the U.S. is the only country with mail-in voting. It simply isn't. He said the U.S. took in hundreds of billions of dollars from China in the tariffs he imposed in the first term. In fact, Americans paid those tariffs. Americans make those tariff payments, and it's not true that Trump was the first president to impose tariffs on China. He said that we lose 300,000 people to fentanyl deaths every year. In fact, it's about 60,000 deaths per year. year. Still a tragedy, of course, horrible, but nowhere close to what he's saying. He said the European Union does not take American farm products. In fact, it is the fourth biggest market for U.S. agricultural exports of $13 billion per year. He offered another alternate history of the European Union's formation, saying it was formed to take advantage of the U.S. In fact, it was formed with U.S. support, so not even close to correct. And so I don't even know where to go from here. He said there was no inflation when he left office. It was low, but it existed, about 1.4%. He said a lot of the U.S. fentanyl comes from Canada. In fact, 0.2%, about 43 pounds worth, came from Canada, so just a tiny number. And he repeated this claim we heard a lot during his presidency, saying that President Obama merely provided Ukraine with sheets. He used to say pillows in sheets rather than actual military.
I feel like CNN ends up hyper focused, like missing the forest for the trees, and like ends up hyper focusing on some of the silly shit that he says, and not the broader strokes of like some of the most damaging lies that Donald Trump pushes on a regular basis. Like, it kind of doesn't matter. I still appreciate that there's at least like some kind of fact checking taking place. I guess. I mean, it's virtually impossible to deal with the faucet of misinformation coming out of the Trump administration. But having said that, I mean, yeah, it's better than nothing. But even then, I feel like the fact checks are entirely focused on like minor shit. Like, oh, he said Obama sent pillows. Like, I don't think that is the most significant part of the Trump Elon admin's lies. Like, I would say some of the most significant things that they've talked about would be like talking about the federal government, right? Claiming that there are a ton of fake employees. There's just no evidence for this whatsoever. And then going beyond simply saying that this is a lie, but demonstrating an alternative vision for why this lie is damaging. I think that's more informative than simply saying, here's why it's wrong. Okay, here's a fact check. Like, this person actually said it was 35%, but it was 33%. Like, that in and of itself is not going to lay the groundwork for a competent response to the Trump administration's actions. You know what I mean? You have evidence that that is not true, though. Does Trump, have they shown any evidence? They both lied. Nobody got the numbers. More than likely, they all full of shit. Like, what do you mean? How am I supposed to disprove a false claim that they're presenting? They're supposed to show you evidence at least. There's no evidence on their, like, yeah, the burden of proof is on Trump's side in this regard. Like, what? It's like, here, I call you a pedophile, right? No evidence whatsoever is presented in the process. I just simply say you're a pedophile. Okay, is it up to you now to disprove it? Are you going to be able to show me an assessment of all of the moments in your throughout your day where you haven't engaged in pedophilia? Do you understand how this works? Do you understand? I'm not saying you're a pedophile, but I'm simply using that as an example. How would you disprove that? If I were to make this claim, how would you disprove that? But can you prove you're not? No, you can't. If I'm making a factless, baseless accusation, okay, then what are you supposed to point to undermine the argument that I'm making? You literally, it is impossible for you to disprove this argument because there is no argument. It's just a claim that I'm making. That's it. At least there was a point in time where these guys would have the decency to like bring false statements and false assertions alongside their claims. Now they don't even do that. And because there is no audience that goes, hey, is there any evidence for this claim that you just brought forth? Because there's no audience demanding that, it doesn't matter.
In fact, the Obama administration provided things like counter-mortar radars, armored Humvees, tactical drones. So it was not simply pillows and sheets. And I'll give you one more. He said that, the million people who didn't respond to this email, this 5 things.
I mean, things that are unfalsifiable seem to be effective on normies, so it was a good strategy. Okay, but you're basically just going back to the same thing that I mentioned, which is lying is OP. Yes, Normies now totally love people lying. Okay? It's OP. It's super, super overpowered. Super overpowered. Especially because there's no collective truth. Like, there is no collective understanding or even interest in a objective truth or trying to figure out what the objective truth is. None of that. It does not exist. People are infinitely more comfortable existing in the echo chambers that they've created online than to actually seek out additional context, see if there's any nuance whatsoever to the claims being made. And it exists even in like online drama. It exists in like the stupidest ways possible, but it certainly exists in the highest stage of office. It exists now within the administrative state. It exists now within the executive office.
You did last week email from Elon Musk's team may not exist. I guess it's possible the U.S. government is paying some people who don't exist. But I think it's important to note that we had numerous agency heads, department heads telling their employees not to respond. So the simpler explanation is that people were instructed not to do this rather than them being, fictional, non-existent human beings.
Yeah, that was one of the things I was going to ask you about. That is definitely something that when all is said and done, we're going to want the receipts on. Suggestions that the people who have not responded maybe don't exist, as you said. There was one other doozy, which was the allegation that there were Social Security checks going to people who are 150 years old. Those people got older during the cabinet meeting today. Apparently, they're 200 years old. So there is that. Daniel, thank you so much for that.
Brian, I want to talk to you about the made-for-TV moment of all of this. Obviously, that is Donald Trump's MO. He knows how to orchestrate a moment that can be broadcast well, and he wants to make it watchable. This is typically a cabinet meeting like this. They go in, they do what's called a spray. You kind of just take some video. Maybe they shout our colleagues shout a couple questions, and that's that. This was different.
Yes, very much so. This was broadcast live, for one thing. Normally these are taped and then shown later, but I think the Trump White House knows they're going to get more attention when these events are live, and they're longer as well. This is in line with Trump knowing that he doesn't just have to be president, he has to perform the presidency and have the appearance of action, the appearance of doing something at all times. It's also striking to me how he's trying to rewrite the dictionary again. He did this with the word hoax, for example, years ago, trying to redefine the word hoax to mean a true story that he doesn't like. Well, the new word that's being targeted is the word fraud. When they talk about waste, fraud, and abuse, he's trying to redefine fraud as spending he doesn't like, right? Spending that he and Musk don't agree with or don't approve of, and that's the kind of spending they're targeting. It's not fraud in the criminal definition of the term, but it's spending they don't like, and it's interesting how both Trump and Musk keep going back to those kinds of words. I was also reminded by the famous movie line, "I see dead people." It seems like Musk and Trump see dead people. They believe there are formerly alive federal employees collecting paychecks even though they're not alive anymore. And you would think there would be better ways to figure that out rather than send an email to everyone and hope they reply. But this is one of those things where Trump and Musk are doing what they call common sense, even if it's actually nonsense when you think about it. That common sense approach does appeal to a lot of people out there.
Yeah. Before we get to the House Republicans passing the budget blueprint, which is also really devastating and shows exactly what their ambitions are and what they want to cut, here is his representative, Doge caucus member, Representative Maria Elvira Salazar on CNN, talking about Elon Musk and also talking about Doge.
He doesn't think about it. He doesn't have to be doing this. He's the richest guy in the world. He could be on a rocket somewhere. Where is he? He's helping us. He's helping our government.
Oh man, we should kiss the ground that Elon walks on. This parasitic billionaire whose entire wealth, his entire net worth relies exclusively on government subsidies, is actually now holding the reins of the federal government. This is certainly, even though this power play has actually increased his net worth by tens of billions of dollars, we should just assume that he's doing this out of the kindness of his heart. Why? Because I told you so. You are a real dumbass, dude. It's like putting a bank robber in charge of the fucking bank and then being like, excuse me, this bank robber made hundreds of millions of dollars robbing banks. Why would he not He would know the best possible ways of avoiding bank robberies, okay? It's not like he's going to rob the bank again. Now he controls the bank. Why wouldn't he? Why wouldn't he just make it legal for himself to rob the bank? That's precisely what Elon is doing. Yeah, America's youth has been brainwashed on the horrors. Demands education on the horrors of communism. This freak.
Government get better and get leaner. So we do have to appreciate that. He is bringing dozens of his best minds to find all this out, to help with the algorithms, to understand where the waste, the fraud, and...
So is he a bank robber? It's worse. Elon Musk is a billionaire, okay? Worse than a bank robber. He is a fucking parasite. And now this parasitic force, like RFK Jr.'s brainworm, has captured the brain of the executive office and is just like controlling it like a puppet.
And the abuse is in all these different federal programs. So we appreciate what he's doing. I don't think that he's going to profit. He has contracts with a DOJ or DOD. He has government contracts. He doesn't need to be doing what he's doing in order to make more money that he doesn't need.
Dude, if this argument probably works on your coworkers, dude. This is such a coworker ass argument. Oh God, it's like, it is truly too stupid to even tackle. You know what I mean? Like, I think less of you if you think this is a good argument. I'm sorry. Oh, he doesn't need the money. He's a billionaire. How did he get there? How did he get there? Elon Musk has not had a singular initiative in his life that has not required tremendous amounts of government subsidies. He also has been heavily scrutinized and prosecuted by virtually every single federal regulatory agency, from OSHA all the way to the SEC. Okay? Now he controls all of those government regulatory agencies. Why wouldn't he want this power? Why wouldn't he want absolute power over the American federal government? Especially when there's a dude who will let you do it. Donald Trump will let you have that power. Clearly, we're working through the process right now. Yeah, it's like putting a fox in charge of guarding the hen house. That is what's going on. It's like, you don't understand. The fox is very full. The fox has had so many of the hens. Why would they eat these hens now? Thanks. I'm resorting to like wordplay at this point. Like, stories that you tell to children.
So I think it's the other way around. We got to be very grateful that he's wanting to do this and investing his time, energy, and money into it.
Yeah, we got to go back to La Fontaine, dude. We got to go back to child's stories, to children's stories. I'm tweeting the hen house thing. You're never getting a seat on the rocket with his attitude? Yeah, dude, I definitely want to be on an Elon Musk rocket.
Rise today to urge the passage of my bill, H.R. 5349. Because America's youth has been brainwashed by media and academia for the last 30 years to believe that communism is good. What a travesty. What a horror. Ask my parents and my community if that is true. And I'm just going to bring you some proof. Nearly 40% of Gen Z and millennials think that the Communist Manifesto, written by Karl Marx, is better, and it's more of a defense of freedom than the Declaration of Independence written by Thomas Jefferson.
Awesome. Awesome. Great. Because it's true. I'm not going to watch this. The Vuvuzela, eating rats, communism. Karl Marx killed 17 gorillion people or whatever. 1,700 quintillion people. Karl Marx, the dictator. You do not understand. I bet this goes hard if you're a mentally ill 40-year-old podcaster. Yeah. Or just anyone that voted for Trump, too. Or most liberals as well. Anyway, let's get to the insanity beyond. I mean, the most insane thing that has taken place. Do we have the original video? Because I've only seen screenshots of this. And Aaron Rupar's version of this is like basically unwatchable. Look at how bad the quality is. Donald Trump posted an AI video about Gaza on his Truth Social account. On the 4chan Reddit? That's crazy. Yeah, let me go on the 4chan subreddit for this. Okay, I guess it's just low quality regardless. All right, let's take a look at what the Donald Trump Truth Social post looks like. Surely this will be good and normal. Oh my God. Conservatives absolutely love AI art. That is besides the point, I know, but I don't know what it is that in the minds of conservatives, they're like, oh, thank God there's such a thing as AI art, because now all of my unhinged, hysterical, schizophrenic fantasies, I can engage in make-believe. Okay, I can engage in make-believe for all of my schizo fantasies that I've cultivated in my mind. And I don't even have to pay an artist to make it. AI art, the MAGA fever dream generator. There has got to be a study at some point conducted on like reactionary tendencies and your proclivity towards leaning into AI art.
Donald's coming to set you free, bringing the light for all to see. No more tunnels, no more fear.
Is that Elon Musk? 2025, what's next?
Donald's coming to set you free, bringing the light for all to see. No more tunnels, no more fear. Trump Gaza is finally.
What? Bearded belly dancers? It's AI music from Suno too. Just every part of this is so cooked. Trump Gaza is finally here. So Trump is going to make it woke?
Shining bright, golden future, a brand new life. Feast and dance, the deal is done.
Wait, what? Is Donald Trump dancing with a belly dancer here? Uh-oh. AI art made him still look fat. That's crazy. Little kids on the beach on the Gaza Riviera dancing with dollar bills falling on top of them. In a Trump Gaza tower, of course. Why is Elon Musk constantly eating? Is that hummus? Is he eating hummus? But then it has like, it's like hummus, but it has the consistency of a soup bowl in between. Why is Elon Musk always eating? Who is this for? There's just like there's a golden Donald Trump statue that they're going to build in the middle of Gaza. And then they're selling a bunch of golden Donald Trump merch. And also just money is what? What the fuck? What is this? Did Trump not watch this before posting it? Like, I'm so confused. Why would anybody make this? Why would Donald Trump post it? I'm having a very hard time understanding what is going on here. Like, what is the intention behind this? Like, Donald Trump and his gay partner, Benjamin Netanyahu, are going to be enjoying their wonderful vacation after what I assume is a full body wax. Like, even, from what I understand, even MAGA, the most loyalist MAGA supporters have been like, what the fuck is this shit, dude? What are you doing? Go to the first second or two, it cuts from a kid laying in the street to being a red puddle. Seriously, why is no one mentioning that? Yeah, because there's so much to mention in all of this.
Trump Gaza, #1.
Like, okay, this is the type of stuff that when you ask me like, oh, is there anything here that is unexpected? Okay, from your assessment. Is there anything that you consider to be unexpected? This is, okay? This is like the Nazi government making the equivalent of like the Nazi government doing the AI slop, whatever the AI slop equivalent of that art would be at the time, to justify not only Lebensraum, but also the final solution. Like, it's just so weird. Like, they are... Like, we look at this and we're like, haha, this is kind of stupid. Look at them. Look at Trump being gay with Netanyahu or whatever. But like, this unironically is Donald Trump saying like, we are going to officially ethnically cleanse the Gaza Strip and then rebuild it, buy out all of it and rebuild it in Trump's image.
Donald's coming to set you free, bringing the light for all to see. No more tunnels, no more fear.
No more tunnels, no more fear. Like, who the fuck looks at that and goes, this is sick, Mr. President? This is just plain wrong. This video is in very bad taste and just plain horrible. The gold statue is 100% wrong, no matter which way you try to make it come across. This video makes me sick. That's a weird thing to get mad about, but sure, I'll take it. You dance it with someone other than your wife. This is weird for me, and I love you, Trump. This should be deleted, not good. These people are literally getting mad at the weirdest shit up on this video. They're getting mad at the dumbest stuff. No golden idols, please. And how dare you put trans belly dancers in the video? I mean, I guess I'll take it. I'll take it wherever it exists. The gold statue is a Bible meme. This feels all wrong and actually makes me sick. I've supported you since day one, but this is filth. There is no God in this. I'm very surprised that he did this. I'm a Trump supporter too, but this is shocking. I could not be a bigger supporter of President Trump, but this particular video is in very poor taste indeed. Sir, this doesn't become you. Please take it down. Musk is a terrible influence on you. I'm a MAGA hat wearing dude, but I ain't sure what to make of this video, even if it's done humorously. I'm starting to lose respect for you, my guy. Knock it off. Stick to America first. OMG, is this for real? This is what we voted for? This video is evil. I don't think these are real comments. I think it's very hard to discern. It's very hard to figure out what is a bot online and what is a real, honest-to-God conservative online. Because the conservatives, I believe, from interacting too much with bots, almost exclusively, have basically become bots. They have bot-like attitudes in general, and also the way they speak also resembles bots. But it very well could be bots. Yes, Francesca Albanese says, what the new U.S. administration is doing is very clear and strategic. It's called psychological overwhelming, hitting us every day with XXL doses of baffling rhetoric and erratic policies serves to control the script, distracting and disorienting us, normalizing the absurd, all while disrupting global stability and consolidating U.S. control. Good news, there is a way out, but we need to stay calm, not panic, and feed into any grotesque moves. The antidote is the very system they seek to dismantle, the human rights movement, the one now active on Palestine and other converging struggles, from environment to indigenous peoples, LGBTQI+, and more. We must continue growing, keep awakening, uniting, and resisting to protect all our freedoms, not our privileges, alas. This is the essence of human rights. I mean, it is rage bait, yes. It's just like rage bait that is shockingly gross. It's rage bait that is shockingly gross. I don't know. I don't know how else to describe it. It's just like, it's very lame and very gross. There is something to how lame conservatives are and how they kind of carry that as a badge of honor, where it almost feels like they're saying, like, what are you going to do about it? Yeah, we're fucking lame. We're lame as shit. And now we're the cool guys. And if you don't think we're cool, we'll put you in jail. That's what it feels like every time I see Elon Musk try to attempt to make a joke. We went from vice signaling to just like lame signaling. Anyway, here's some more stuff that we got to talk about. Trump posting an AI video that depicts him slobbing out with Netanyahu while Elon is made out like this is also wild. Elon is also eating a lot in the video, though, to be fair. I don't know what that even means, but I don't know what to make of that, but that's the case. We have the House Republicans passing the budget blueprint while all this stuff is happening, so I'm going to obviously cover that as well. This is some pretty damning stuff in general. Let's take a
Capitol Hill
look.
now in the House, narrowly passing a budget plan last night. It was a major test for House Speaker Mike Johnson and President Trump's agenda. Jay O'Brien checking the latest on Capitol Hill. Good morning, Jay.
Good morning, George. Republicans celebrating this morning, narrowly getting their budget blueprint through the House, fulfilling a key promise to President Trump, but only after drama up here on the Hill.
Overnight chaos in Congress as the vote to pass the House Republicans' budget blueprint was on, then off, then on again. Republican leaders stalling for more than an hour, wrangling holdout votes, then appearing to cancel the vote, members heading home, only to be told to rush back. House Republicans ultimately adopting the budget resolution along party lines, the first step toward passing President Donald Trump's sweeping legislative agenda. It was a major test for Speaker Mike Johnson and his razor-thin majority. Trump personally pressuring some of the 4 holdout votes and 3 finally flipping.
Were you worried about defying him by voting no? No, not at all.
But Kentucky Congressman Thomas Massey not budging, concerned about the overall costs.
We are cutting taxes and we're not going to cut spending to match it, so the deficit's going to go up. That's what this bill does.
The budget resolution aims to cut at least $2 trillion in federal spending over 10 years, includes at least 4.5.
I thought these guys were deficit hogs. So weird. Hey, guess what's not getting a cut? The military. $10 billion in additional funds year over year, chat, for a decade to the tune of $100 billion. Wonderful stuff.
$1 trillion in tax cuts, hoping to extend Trump's 2017 cuts, which expire at the end of the year, and raises the debt limit by $4 trillion. Aware of the slim margins, Democrats rushing in missing members to vote. Congressman Kevin Mullen from California jumping on a plane just after being discharged from spending the last 10 days in the hospital for a blood clot. And Representative Brittany Peterson, who is on maternity leave, speaking after voting no while holding her 1-month-old baby.
Unfortunately, I wasn't given the opportunity to vote remotely after giving birth, but I wasn't going to let that stop me from being here to represent my constituents and vote no on this disastrous Republican budget proposal.
While specific budget cuts haven't been determined, Democrats warning
It's so sick that the Republicans are one, engaging in mass layoffs for the administrative state, okay, for the federal government, also actively offering permanent tax cuts for the super wealthy and corporations, okay, deep tax cuts. You might get a crumb. You might get a crumb in the process. Make no mistake, you'll get like $5 back. Don't worry, okay? And also, while they're talking about cutting wasteful government spending, they're increasing government spending on the military. Fantastic.
Medicaid, the health care program for low-income Americans and those with disabilities, is expected to be slashed.
The reckless Republican budget will cut taxes up to $4.5 trillion for the wealthy, the well-off, and the well-connected, and then they are sticking working-class Americans, middle-class Americans, and everyday Americans with the bill.
This is just the first step in a months-long budget process in both the House and Senate, but the chaos just to clear this vote spells trouble for other legislative fights ahead, including averting a government shutdown next month. Robin.
More to come, as you said, Jay. Thank you.
Okay. Let's get to David Dane, okay, who will describe to us what just took place, before we get to the Trump response to Medicare and Medicaid. This is who let this shit pass. The absence is Grijalva, AZ, missing votes as he fights cancer. Mullen, California knee surgery. Peterson, Colorado maternity leave. Wilson, Florida, age 82, hasn't voted all month. 4 Dem absences on the budget rule vote. 1 Republican absence. I mean, I don't really care about how old they are and how sick they are and how they can't do their jobs because of that reason. Ultimately, Mike Johnson was able to put together Mike Johnson was able to whip the votes for this, okay? After sending members home for the night, House Republicans called them back on Tuesday and secured a passage of an expansive budget resolution that includes virtually the entire Trump agenda. The final vote was 217-215, with all but 1 Republican, Representative Thomas Massey from Kentucky, voting for the budget resolution, which sets a path for $4.5 trillion in tax cuts over the next decade, partially offset by at least $2 trillion in spending cuts. Now, $2 trillion in spending cuts is a whole lot of money, even though we're still cutting taxes for $4.5 trillion, as in it's still, if you're a deficit hawk, you're still increasing that, okay? So it doesn't matter. But of course, there's always room in the deficit for growth if you are cutting tax for the wealthy and corporations. Obviously, duh, shut the fuck up. What are you, some woke, gay, commie libtard or something? Like, what do you mean? These are the most productive individuals in American society. Anyway, let's continue. The tiniest of margins carried out. What is the easy part of the budget reconciliation package? And it isn't even done. In fact, the House budget resolution is taught to be dead on arrival in the Senate. Johnson was unable to corral the votes, mainly because the budget resolution is so indistinct. The resolution sets top-line numbers to instruct various committees, which will then come back with specifics. So you remember, there's basically what's going on is Mike Johnson saying, we're just going to chop $2 trillion. And the way that it works in this the vague ways in which this works is they just go back to the committees and say, hey, figure out a way to cut Medicaid, okay? It's basically setting out bullet points and sending people home with goals to figure out how we are going to cut. Doesn't mean that it's going to happen, but that's the direction that they're heading towards. Throughout the day, House Republicans insisted that the proposed cuts didn't mean what they clearly meant because they were just instructions for committees that could be carried out in any manner. In reality, when the Agriculture Committee is told to find $230 billion in cuts, there's really only one thing that it could mean: a rollback on Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, SNAP, for those of you who are wondering, which helps feed poor people. Unless the Ag Committee decides randomly to wipe out the lion's share of U.S. agricultural assistance, they're going to have to go after food stamps, as was laid out in the menu of budget options earlier this year. They're never going to go after the subsidies. The Ag Committee is not going to cut subsidies, which also would have a damaging impact on the economy regardless, because it would increase prices a lot if subsidies were to be cut. So there's that too. They're going to cut SNAP, which will directly starve poor people. Okay? Now, SNAP in and of itself also works as an additional subsidy for the same agricultural producers as well. SNAP is a government benefit that companies like Walmart take advantage of as well. Okay? The problem here is when you say, oh, well, cut all this stuff. Who gives a heck? Who cares? You're advocating for the demise of millions of people. Okay? Hold on. My food is here, but I don't understand where it is. Did he leave it outside? No, he didn't. All right. Bill Burr's cooking once again. What did he say now?
I made fun of the fucking Twitter guy for fucking Sieg Heiling not once but twice. And I never look at my emails. I was scrolling through my emails and it said my Twitter account had been flagged for I don't even tweet anymore. It had been flagged for what a fucking baby. Just like Hitler. A fucking baby. How about the fact that the Twitter guy he's not even from here. He's from South Africa. He comes to this country and wants to turn it into a fucking dictatorship. He doesn't feel that we deserve democracy. Can you just imagine doing that? Going to another country and just deciding, yeah, you know what? I'm going to change this form of government because I've decided. He doesn't mind living under a dictatorship as long as he's on the good side of it. Fucking laminated face cunt. Because that's another thing. All of these people that are into fucking Hitler, you know what I mean? And like look at this guy like he was some sort of fucking hero. The guy's one of the biggest fucking cowards ever. All the pain and all the suffering that guy's caused and the war crimes the Allies had to commit, firebombing fucking cities to get that motherfucker. When it came time for him to pay the price for all the suffering he caused millions and millions and millions of people. Did he face the music? Nope. He gave himself a nice, quick, painless fucking death. That's your fucking hero? Fucking coward is what he was. He should have faced the fucking music.
Great take. Going to another country and changing the government is a super American thing to do. Yeah, but, you know, he's doing America shit to America. It's not how it's supposed to work. I like the way that Bill Burr tackles all these issues. Anyway, yeah, Bill Burr is the closest to Carlin. Bill Burr is our Carlin, our generation's Carlin, for sure. Thank God. Thank God there's someone out there that has like some kind of goddamn common sense, you know? He is the coworker annihilator, okay? He is exactly the type of guy who has a no-nonsense attitude that your coworkers will respond to positively. Your coworkers will look to someone like myself and say, oh, that guy is woke, libtarded, gay, uses too many academic words. But Bill Burr, on the other hand, can say the exact same things, but in a much more eloquent way, in a way that your coworkers will respond to positively. Significantly better than even Jon Stewart. Okay? Stan. Wait, hold on. What's happening here? Gram, pounds, ounces. Okay. All right. Let's weigh this chicken. Jon Stewart is also way too polished and has a long track record. A lot of people like him because of the Zadroga bill. But again, Bill Burr is, I think, the voice of the hard hat wearing Americans who don't like what's going on. Time to listen to Hassan eat again? Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't want to die. I have to eat food. No, but eat properly, please. I don't know what you mean by that. Didn't you just eat yesterday? I know. Yeah, it's pretty crazy, but I got to do it every day. What kind of chick is that, dude? The same chick I have pretty much every day. It's either Mediterranean or increasingly in my post-Japan experience, I've also switched it up just a little bit where I sometimes have teriyaki chicken, but it's usually just Mediterranean chicken. Will not be leaking where I got it from. I gatekeep this restaurant, even though people already know. So don't ask. The teriyaki chicken is from Ono Hawaiian Barbecue. I don't mind I'm not going to gatekeep Ono Hawaiian barbecue. Would you vote for Jon Stewart if he ran? Sure. Why not? Why not? I don't know. Anyway, let's continue. I thought you loved Jon Stewart. I do, but all right, let's just keep going.
Medicaid, Social Security will not be touched.
Yeah, I mean, I have said it so many times, you shouldn't be asking me that question, okay? This will not be read my lips. It won't be read my lips anymore. We're not going to touch it. Now, we are going to look for fraud. I'm sure you're okay with that, like people that shouldn't be on, people that are illegal aliens and others, criminals in many cases. And that's with Social Security. We have a lot of people. You see that immediately when you see people that are 200 years old that are being sent checks for Social Security. Some of them are actually being sent checks. So we're tracing that down, and I have a feeling that Pam is going to do a very good job with that. But you have a lot of fraud. But no, we're not doing anything.
For their GMA cover story, the growing concerns at America's national parks after federal job.
Yeah, they're saying they're not going to cut it, but they are. They're just going after fraud. Yeah. Okay. Arrest Rick Scott. Okay. Oh, you want to go after Medicare fraud? You want to go after Medicaid fraud? Arrest Rick Scott. Fraud in Social Security or fraud in Medicare and Medicaid do not happen at the point of individuals. Okay. They're not fraudulently like stealing more healthcare than they deserve or something. Okay. It happens at the point of providers. Except the problem is you're not going to tackle those providers. You're not going to go after those providers because they're your wealthy benefactors. Okay? That's it.
Job cuts and how they could impact upcoming vacations, especially during the busy spring break and summer seasons. Now, rush it back with the story. Hey, Ariel.
Hey there, George. Hundreds of millions of tourists visit our national parks each year, and spring break is really one of the most popular times to take in their majestic beauty. But with more than 1,000 park employees terminated in a recent wave of government job cuts, experts say you may be in for a rockier vacation.
This morning, as millions gear up to spend spring break at some of the nation's most treasured parks, from Yosemite to the Grand Canyon, a warning from park officials that the deep government job cuts could have a noticeable impact on your experience.
The visitors are not going to be able to do the things they want. You know, if you want to bring your family to Yosemite and can't camp, or it takes 4 hours to get into the park, what kind of experience is that?
Nearly 1,000 park employees were laid off on Valentine's Day, and some ripple effects are already being felt, from longer lines to cut hours, to closed visitor centers and canceled tours.
We had an experience for 10 options. We only did like 4.
The National Park Service says more than 325 million people visited these sites in 2023, up 4% from the year prior. But now officials say the staffing shortages will make keeping the areas pristine and visits running smoothly more challenging.
In my mind, it's a crisis.
This is good. Let's talk about Medicaid. Let's go back to the House budget cuts because this is very important. Here's Ryan Grimm talking about what the House budget resolution passes mean for Medicaid and its future.
I think they can't do it, and it's because they don't like the program.
Yes, fundamentally, yes.
And in a lot of cases, they don't like the people on the program. And in fact, Steve Bannon on his show had to remind his audience and Republican lawmakers with them that there are MAGAs, as he says. There are MAGAs on Medicaid. Implicit in that.
He said a lot.
Yeah.
And that's right.
Implicit in that is it's just not those poor Democrats that you think about, poor black Democrats that you think about. Like in your head, when a Republican's thinking about Medicaid, and a lot of people think about Medicaid, that's what they think about. So he's telling them, okay, if that's what you think about, I understand why you want to cut it, but it's not just them. It's also MAGAs that are on it. So you start from that premise, that they don't actually like the program, and they don't like the people who are on the program. So the way that they want to cut the program is to reduce the number of people that get the program. And the way they do that is they throw up a bunch of paperwork requirements and also this work requirement, which would say you have to work 20 hours in order to get Medicaid. And if you can't find work, you basically have to come to some community center and sit there on a computer or something, and just wasting your time so that they can, feel good about making you feel bad about getting the assistance that they're giving you. And so they tried this in Georgia, and they spent like $70 million on this like pilot program, and it ended up just having 6,500 people in it. So it costs an enormous amount of money to set up these projects and programs to monitor all of these people, and then you don't actually, you're spending enormous amounts of money per individual, when it would be so much easier to just say, hey, if you're under this threshold, you get this money. Now, the other way that you could cut spending on this program is to go after the businesses and the scam artists that are ripping it off. There is an enormous amount of waste in Medicaid and Medicare.
It's one of them in the Senate, isn't it?
On that front.
Every aspect of government expenditures that are far too costly, the point of fraud and waste does not happen at the point of the individual consumer, at the individual civilian that is getting these entitlements. It happens at the point of the provider. It happens at the public partnership, the public-private partnership level. It's private enterprise that causes the wasteful expenditures, okay? But of course, yeah, it's medical device salesmen, okay? It's nursing homes. It's not the recipients that are doing fraud. It's the providers that are doing fraud. The problem is the providers also, with all the fraud that they're doing, have a lot of money to spend in lobbying funds. That's it. So they will never go after the actual costly middlemen. They will only go after random invisible enemies that they have hallucinated.
Yes, one of the guys in the Senate, Rick Scott from Florida, ran the largest Medicare scam in American history. And the way you do a Medicare scam or a Medicaid scam is, like I heard recently about a Medicaid one in New York where people were saying, like dentists will do these, others will like say, we'll give you a toaster for free if you will come in and sign a piece of paper that says I pulled your tooth or whatever. And then I submit this. You could invest money in inspectors and probably AI at this point, analyzing the different payment schemes and finding this fraud and targeting it and prosecuting it and going after it. I think the reason that Republicans won't do that is it would make the program work better. And as I said in the beginning, they don't like the program. What that would do.
And they don't like the program because it helps poor people. That's it.
It would solidify it, and it would make people feel better about the program, and so they would support it more. But there is indeed, you could, so it's $880 billion that they're trying to cut over 10 years. I think you could actually do that without hurting individual people, but you would have to stand up a serious program of investigation. Hey, guess what? There's like 150,000 federal workers who are well-trained that were just fired. You can go hire them to do that at pennies. Just continuing to pay their salaries. Actually, a lot of them are on administrative leave now or unemployment, so we're paying them anyway. We're just paying them not to work. So pay them, put them to work, go find the fraud. It was much easier to do Medicare and Medicaid fraud, before we have the technology that we do now. Like if you're some like South Florida like scam operation and you've stolen a bunch of Medicare numbers that you can find online, what they do is they steal these numbers. They pretend that they sold wheelchairs to them. They charge $7,000 for 100,000 wheelchairs. They cash the check, move the money, shut down, and then start up a new thing and do it again. I'm not a technologist, but it's got to be pretty easy to figure out how to make somebody prove that you actually did sell and have something to do with making wheelchairs or selling wheelchairs. Like, did you do it or not? Scooters is the big one.
That's it. But the problem is, those guys are the ones who have the money. Do you understand? So they're not going to go after the people who actually have the money because they're basically giving, at least a piece of those profits back to the Republican congresspersons that keep them safe.
If it's the employees that are gone, I'm not sure how the park could stay open.
Some travelers and local businesses are bracing for a spring shakeup.
Businesses that are here in Baker certainly rely on tourism and travelers. So we're unsure what that's going to look like this season.
I was on lunch on February 14th and got a call from my supervisor and just had to be out and done by 5 p.m. And so it was a mad dash.
Ben Shreves is one of the park employees who recently lost his job.
People were working overtime to provide the best experience, and they were already struggling to do that. And part of that was just a lack of resources. And so now it's just like they have even less of that.
Experts say if you're planning to traverse the parks this spring, to be patient and over-prepare.
There's going to be a big imbalance between the number of people who are going to the parks and the amount of staff that can help them.
And the Park Service has about 20,000 employees. The Trump administration has rolled back some of those firings and says it will hire 3,000 seasonal workers. In the meantime, if you're planning a vacation to a national park, prepare for a slightly different experience. You want to make sure you have your maps, make sure you have everything you need, because there may not be a park ranger or someone to help you out when you're out there.
Big difference for a lot of people.
Speaking of Elon Musk, he will be at Donald Trump's first cabinet meeting today, even though, of course, Musk is not part of the cabinet. There is new information.
Yeah, we don't need rangers. You could just vibe the bears, problem solved. Exactly. No, we don't need rangers at all, man. Who cares about forest safety, upkeep, making sure that people are safe and secure when they're visiting our national parks? Who cares? Actually, fuck the national parks. Let's just literally melt them so that we can have more lame ass, fuck ass AI art. Burn the forest down. A la Bobby. 505s. Thank you for the 100 gifted subs.
This morning about Musk's effort to cut back on the federal workforce. Weijia Jiang is at the White House. So, Weijia, what are we learning about this?
Good morning, Vlad. Good morning, everybody. Sources tell CBS News the administration plans to issue a new memo in the coming days directing agencies to prepare for large-scale firings, adding to the existing anxiety over directives from Musk to federal workers that continue to create more questions than answers.
President Trump backed Elon Musk's latest warning to federal workers. While they have more time to submit what they accomplished last week, failing to answer would cost them a job.
Well, it's somewhat voluntary, but it's also if you don't answer, I guess you get fired.
But earlier, the White House press secretary said it's up to departments. Many have told staffers not to reply.
For some of the agencies that you've seen who have said, please don't send these emails, it's in their best interest for that specific agency, and the president supports that.
Now, the administration is preparing to direct federal agencies to submit reorganization plans by March 13th as part of sweeping reductions in force. In Musk's own Department of Government Efficiency, 21 staffers resigned, saying in a letter they refuse to compromise core government systems, jeopardize Americans' sensitive data, or dismantle critical public services. Musk called them Dem political holdovers who would have been fired.
Oh, we are absolutely in a crisis mode.
Randy Irwin is the president of NFFE, a union that represents 110,000 federal workers, many of whom he says are terrified about what Musk and his team will do next.
Bro, what's happening in here? There's so many people who keep... Is it one guy who's just spamming this? Or is there a bunch of guys from Canada who keep saying, your fucking national parks are going to be nothing when the Canadians stop visiting them? Is it one guy or is it multiple Canadians who keep saying this? Is that the new thing? Is Canada doing a BDS on American national parks? I keep seeing it in the chat over and over again. Yeah, see? You're going to need those parks when we, Canada, stop sending wood across the border. Okay, this guy is actually tackling it from a different issue. But there's like hella people. There's a bunch of Canadians in the chat who keep saying, we're not visiting your parks no more. You're cooked. Damn, bro. Love the anti-Semitic shirt. the anti-Semitic shirt. Yeah. Also, going back to the Canadians, 100% on board with you. We deserve BDS. Please, if you can do it, okay? I literally cannot comprehend the concept of Canadian nationalism. I can't either, but they deserve it. They deserve to have a little bit of emancipatory nationalism against the America-KKK rats, okay? There is no country more deserving of a boycott, divestments, and sanctions movement outside of obviously fucking Israel. But even Israel itself, you could compound into America's crimes, considering that Israel is an extension of the United States of America. And the problem, of course, is we are the big bad. So it's virtually impossible to avoid us. Just like the top of the hour ad break, which you can avoid by subscribing, Canadian or not, for $6 or for free with a Twitch Prime. Is what I would say if I kept running 3-minute ad breaks at the top of the hour. I no longer do them. But you can still subscribe for free with a Twitch Prime or by getting gifted a sub if you're lucky. Is 12 in Canada? I don't know how much it is in fake Canadian Monopoly money. All right. But I hit you with that debate. It's kind of funny. I thought this guy was just like memeing, but I think they were being serious when they said, nice anti-Semitic shirt. Never mind. Maybe not. Have the Turks invented anything? I can't tell if he's being serious or memeing. All right, let's keep going.
Created a toxic work environment, and nobody wants to work under those conditions. It's not worth it. They don't pay federal employees enough to put up with this garbage.
Well, after reporters asked repeated questions about who's actually leading the Department of Government Efficiency yesterday, a White House official told CBS News that person is Amy Gleason, a veteran of the first Trump administration, and she is the acting administrator right now. When reached by phone yesterday, Gleason told us she was in Mexico and declined to further comment. Vlad?
Remarkable. Ouija, we also heard there are some changes to how the press is going to cover the White House. Can you explain that a bit for us?
Sure, Vlad. So first, let me explain how coverage of the president works a little bit. So whether he is in the Oval Office or traveling abroad, there is always a group of journalists called the press pool that covers his every move, then shares notes, video, and sound with colleagues who can't be there. You can't have 100 people in the Oval. So since 1914, the White House Correspondents Association has organized that pool, which rotates every day. It is a nonpartisan group that came up with professional standards over decades that everyone has to adhere to. But yesterday, the White House announced that its officials will now decide who gets to be in that pool, which also means it will decide who covers the president up close and holds him accountable. That includes print, television, wire services, and radio journalists. Vlad.
Wow. All right, Ouija, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
So President Trump's first cabinet meeting will take place today, and Elon Musk is expected to be there. Joining us right now, White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt. Congratulations, my friend.
Thank you.
You've been making a lot of news at these briefings. This is the first cabinet meeting. Elon Musk is going to be there. I know there's been a lot of talk about the emails asking about the productivity. Is he going to be asking the cabinet members for an update today?
Well, first of all, we're so excited.
Why is their response always wow with no further comments? I mean, Loki, what can you say? Like, I agree. It's annoying. But like sometimes even I do that because there's just like nothing I can, like I look at the situation, I'm like, oh, I don't know what to fucking say about this, you know? Sometimes all you got is a wow, that's crazy, you know? How many eggs you eat a day, brother? Unfortunately, currently the number is 0. Because of the stupid ass avian flu. The number right now is 0. I'm very frustrated. I try to purchase eggs. I look all around. I've gone to multiple grocery stores. None of them have eggs. Doge quietly deleted 5 of his biggest spending cuts as celebrated last week. An $8 billion cut at ICE was actually for $8 million. 3 $655 million U.S. aid cuts were actually a single cut erroneously counted 3 times. A $232 million cut at the Social Security Administration was actually just for $556,000. I'm shocked. I'm shocked at these dipshits. I'm shocked that these dipshits are not actually cutting anything at all.
The president that goes against what he says, he has a right to fire them. So thank you.
Absolutely. I now recognize the gentleman from Texas, Mr. Kassar, for 5 minutes.
I'm going to do something that I've never done in a congressional hearing before, and that is plead for help from the American people, plead for help from my Republican colleagues on something that we actually all agree on, because lives are at stake right now. I'm going to start by describing the facts on the ground. Millions of people are at risk of dying of starvation in areas of the world where Democrats and Republicans have already agreed and committed to feeding them with American-grown food for humanitarian reasons and for global stability. But yesterday, I spoke with people in charge of warehouses in Sudan and Ethiopia, warehouses full of food, but because of Doge, that food is trapped in the warehouse out of reach of starving and dying moms and kids. In those 2 countries alone, 150,000 children and moms are at risk of dying this month if that food is not delivered from the warehouse to them right up the road. Everyone agrees that's not supposed to happen. Republicans voted for this food, and Democrats voted for this food to get out. Secretary of State Marco Rubio says the food should go out as part of his life-saving waiver. DOJ Chairwoman Marjorie Taylor Greene started this hearing by saying that life-saving food programs should still be running. We have paid for the food, and we have shipped it, and it is sitting trapped in the warehouse because DOJ is blocking the payments needed to get the food out to the people who need it. So here's what that means. It means that kids are dying, and more will die tomorrow, of severe acute malnutrition. If you want nightmares, just Google severe acute malnutrition and look at the photos. The way that healthcare workers determine if a kid is dying of this is they measure their bicep. And if their bicep is less than 4.5 inches around, then that means you could die of starvation tomorrow. Think of a kid's arm fitting through this hole. Think of your kid's arm fitting through this hole. These kids could die tomorrow. You've heard today about the waiver for life-saving humanitarian assistance. And
bro, I want to. Hola, Bobby. 505. Thank you for another 100 gifted subs. I mean this with all sincerity. I think if you were to tell the average Republican all of this, like the average Republican voter, they would say, fuck them. Holy crap. Slate did all thing on E. Take a day off, chatter. Named Hassan's poop sock. You think I don't know where that fucking link goes to? Your name is literally Hassan's poop sock. Average Asman viewer would too. I mean, the average Asman viewer is a Trump voter. So yes, they would probably be like, yeah, I don't give a shit. Fuck it. Let the food rot. Kill them.
And all I'm asking is for Rubio's waiver to be made real. People watching at home, you can do something about this. I know many of these hearings are live on Fox News. I'm a Democrat. For many of the people watching, you may not agree with me on many issues. But I think we can all agree that this food needs to get out of the warehouse and to these kids. I've gotten phone calls from conservative friends, people of faith that moved to Africa to live out their faith of I was naked and you clothed me, I was hungry and you fed me. And they agree that this food should be given out. So call your Republican congressperson, call the White House, tell them you know they didn't mean to do this, but that this food needs to go out tomorrow. If you're in the press, cover this story. Ask questions about Ethiopia. Ask questions about Sudan. Tell the world about this. And to my Republican colleagues, DOJ is not going to listen to me, but you can fix this. Pick up the phone, make a phone call. Y'all could save lives today. Send an email. Please, put politics aside, get the food out of the warehouse, save these kids' lives.
The DOJ staff at HUD are all real estate bros. They're looking to sell out public housing. Incredible stuff. There was too much public housing to begin with. That's what I always say. Go to the comments. I'm curious. I love watching him cry. We the people cannot afford to feed ourselves. Thank you, Doge. I'm so happy that Doge is taking back our money. I'm ready for that $5,000 check. Then start a charity and raise your own money and feed them. The government. It's a government, not a charity. Told you. Told you. Dude. Conservatism basically revolves around being awful to other people. It's the ideology is held together by vice signaling. The U.S. initiative to increase electricity supply in Africa has been dismantled by the Trump administration after more than a decade of work. Yeah, well, China rising, baby. They have a term for it called rugged individualism, which is basically a misunderstanding of being a selfish fucking asshole, okay? This is at the heart of Republican policy. This is at the heart of Republican ideology. Ironically enough, a lot of the collectivist action that these guys yell about with regular frequency is not done out of the kindness of the American heart. We do not feed African nations or build their electricity grid simply because we want them to advance. We do not even do it because we feel embarrassed for the crimes of colonialism that we put African nations through. We do it for soft power in a similar way to why China does it. China also has an additional economic reason for it, but it's mostly for soft power so that these countries collaborate with us, so that when push comes to shove and we want to invade a foreign nation and violate its sovereignty by lying on the global stage, we can turn around and say, hey, look, all these countries are behind us because we are the world's police. We help out all these other nations. So when America undermines its soft power capabilities, what it's actually doing is undermining global dominance. You know? Good luck. Good luck. The invention of individual responsibility. Then and now. Wait, I've watched this video? I don't think I watched this video. This video radicalized me a bit when you showed it on stream. Did I watch this video? I don't remember it. Then and now fucking cooks. A lot of people are saying yes, but I don't remember it. All right, let's watch what Donald Trump had to say about the EU. It says it was formed to screw the United States.
On the EU tariffs, Mr. President, have you just made a decision on what level you will seek on tariffs in the European Union?
We have made a decision. We'll be announcing it very soon, and it'll be 25%, generally speaking, and that'll be on cars and all other things. And European Union is a different case than Canada, different kind of case. They've really taken advantage of us in a different way. They don't accept our cars. They don't accept essentially our farm products. They use all sorts of reasons why not. And we accept everything of them.
Okay, hear me out. The European Union despises Chinese cars, and yet they allowed Chinese cars foolishly into their marketplaces until it got to a degree where the Chinese cars were directly outcompeting domestic manufacturing, and they had to put an end to it. Why is it that the EU does not allow American cars into its marketplace in the same way that they allow Chinese cars? You might be wondering this question. You might be wondering why that's the case. Is it because they despise Amerifats and they love the Chinese? No. It's because American cars are heavily deregulated. It is either illegal. Okay, I'll explain it to you this way. Ford F-150. Until this past year, it was the highest selling vehicle in the United States of America. This year, RAV4 by Toyota has actually passed the Ford F-150. But next year, it will probably be Ford F-150. In order for someone to be able to purchase a Ford F-150 and drive it on any given average random European street, they would need a commercial driver's license. That is the most popular vehicle in the United States of America. That is before we even factor in all of the other road safety violations the Ford F-150 is in direct violation of. Okay? No shit, Europeans don't buy our fucking cars because our cars are ginormous. If you've ever been to Europe, you would understand that a Ford F-150, for example, the most popular car in the United States of America, would not fit on the average European street. Year over year, Ford F-150 has gotten larger and larger and larger due to CAFE standards. To avoid pre-existing regulations, the Ford Motor Company has made the cars into ginormous trucks. And then we complain about why Europe won't buy our shit. And the same goes for food. Our health and safety standards are not up to par with the European Union. I was listening to NPR this morning where they were talking about how we're going to fix the poultry situation, the avian flu situation. We have to vaccinate the chicken, okay? Guess what? Ain't nobody wants to buy vaccinated gay autistic chicken, okay? Nobody wants to buy gay-ass chicken. They want straight chickens that are patriotic and unvaccinated. Okay, the second part of what I'm talking about, the gay and autistic stuff, is a joke, obviously. But like that literally is a thing that the American government is currently thinking about in order to combat, the further spread of avian flu. And it's going to remove the actual poultry that was shipped overseas because people are not going to want to buy it. Because you can actually hide illnesses if you sell vaccinated chicken, apparently. Anyway, we also have shittier food safety standards, shittier health standards. And this is a problem. We force our product on the European marketplace, even when the European marketplace says, hey, this is like not something that we want. All of it is born out of deregulation. If we held our regulatory agencies to the same standard as the European marketplace, we could create more competitive products. We could also heavily subsidize certain industries to become the dominant force in the same way that China does. The difference is, however, the Chinese manufacturers care about global safety standards. That's the only difference. That's it. America, on the other hand, is like, no, we're the big guy in the room. Fuck you. Buy my F-150s, even if you can't fucking drive it on your roads. How insane. What an insane prospect. We did this to Japan back in the day. Literally. We were like, I don't give a shit. Your cars are too good. And also, they're too cheap. They're too good. They're too safe. They're too cheap. Fuck you. And because of that, we still can't even get a fucking Toyota Hilux in this goddamn country until it's like 25 years in the future. And in that process, we literally, one, basically made it illegal for some of these vehicles to enter the American marketplace. And then also sold Japan a bunch of fucking F-150s they can't even use. Isn't that crazy? Isn't that fucking crazy? Doug D is a communist now. Oh, I've seen him talk. I've watched this video.
I'm astonished. They shouldn't have sent them to us. Now we know how good they are. Now we're like, crap, we got to catch up. If we let capitalism sort this out, China wins this game. All these automakers are pulling back on these EVs. If that's the way we want to go, then that's the way we want to go. But the Chinese EVs, I've driven them. They're way ahead. They're way ahead and they're way cheaper. And China's going to walk around and start selling these cars in the other markets and start gobbling up market share in all those places too. And pretty soon our auto industry is going to be Ford selling cars to Americans. When we eventually adopt it, when we have to, will China have already succeeded? Do you know what I'm saying?
And they will have charging stations and better technology. Right. And yes, 100%.
And that's the fear. That's the fear with walking this back. That's the fear with the government walking it back. And that's why we can't just necessarily just let capitalism sort it out when we have the conversation. Because capitalism may sort it out in a way that is not favorable for us. And our government has this isn't pure capitalism. Our government has the ability to kind of put their finger on the scales of what actually succeeds.
This is not where I thought this conversation would go.
I'm surprised to hear myself saying this too, but I've been thinking about this more and more over the last few weeks. And when you hear about
Ford CEO a few months ago had
Dude, this is the classic Jim Farley equation. Like, Jim Farley was like, yeah, they're cooking. They're cooking us.
An interview where he said that he drove the Xiaomi SU7.
He's been driving it around.
And it's like, this is better than what we're building.
Yeah. That's interesting. I drive these
Living on the border, you sometimes see Mexican people crossing with Chinese EVs and Hiluxes like they're trying to flex. Oh my God. America failing is good, though. Not necessarily, because it causes a lot of heartache to Americans. It's not like it's failing and taking out the billionaires and millionaires and then fixing inequality in the United States of America or significantly reducing our military presence around the globe. It's not doing any of the good things. America is basically collapsing, and while it's collapsing, it's going to take out the entire world with it. We are we're the spoiled kid on the block who goes, oh, I lost this board game. I'm flipping the fucking table. Empires don't die quietly.
We have about a $300 billion deficit with the European Union. Now, I love the countries of Europe. I guess I'm from there at some point a long time ago, right? But indirectly, pretty directly too, I guess. But I love the countries of Europe. I love all countries, frankly, all different. But European Union's it was formed in order to screw the United States. I mean, look, let's be honest. The European Union was formed in order to screw the United States. That's the purpose of it. And they've done a good job of it, but now I'm president.
What will happen if these countries or the EU retaliate?
They can't. I mean, they can try, but they can't.
China did. They imposed tariffs that went into effect. China's retaliatory tariffs on the 10th of February. Has there been any impact that you've been able to observe?
That's right. No, they can do it, and they can try, but the numbers can never equal what ours, because we could go off. We are the pot of gold. We're the one that everybody wants, and they can retaliate, but it cannot be a successful retaliation, because we just go cold turkey. We don't buy anymore, and if that happens, we win.
Are you talking to Eric Ritz about privatizing deportations?
I don't want to tell right now, but I can tell you that
I don't want to talk about that.
NATO you can forget about. I think that's probably the reason the whole thing started. And I think, JD, we can say that. What, do you have a statement on that? You've been very much involved. I gave him the beauty.
Great. Gave me the hardest question, sir. I mean, look, as the president said, we're not going to do the negotiation in public with the American media. He's going to do it in private with the president of Russia, with the president of Ukraine, and with other leaders. And I think that's how this has to go. I think that I just want to push back against some of the criticism I've seen of the administration on this, because every single time the president engages in diplomacy, you guys preemptively accuse him of conceding to Russia. He hasn't conceded anything to anyone. He's doing the job of a diplomat, and he is, of course, the diplomat in chief as the President of the United States.
I mean, as a long-standing advocate for demanding that the Biden administration come to the table with Russia and implement a ceasefire, conditional ceasefire agreement, I have to admit, Donald Trump is definitely going a little bit above and beyond in terms of concessions. Okay? Come on. Be for fucking real, dude. Donald Trump has all the power to control Israel, and I feel like he's in the beginning when they were forcing for a ceasefire, he was more critical of Israel than he is with Russia. And we know his ass loves Israel. Like, in terms of the expectations, like, him forcing Israel's hand into a conditional ceasefire agreement was unironically a little bit unexpected. And in this situation with Russia, the ways in which he is talking about the situation is certainly going way above and way beyond my expectations. It's a shocking level of glazing. Krasnov proof in the article, by the way, I can't tell if chatters are memeing when they say the Krasnov proof or whatever, or if they're being, like, I don't know what that's about.
A little bit more of a vetting process.
He'll go through a process. The process is being worked out right now, and we're going to be very careful.
Will there be restrictions on, for instance, can Chinese nationals get
No, we're
one?
not going to
Iranian
restrict.
nationals
We're
get
probably not going to be restricting too much in terms of countries, but maybe in terms of individuals. We want to make sure we have people that love our country and are capable of loving the country.
Top G popped off in the chat, but I missed it. Wait, I have to find what he said. Hold on. Let's see what Top G had to bring us. I mean, he is truly a poet. The USSR collapsed without firing a single one of its 5,000 nukes or sending a single one of its 30,000 tanks into another country. You will fall the same way, not with a bang, but with a whimper. We will make sure it doesn't hurt too bad, for we are kind. Elon is one of the few Americans allowed to maintain 100% control of business operating in China. Premier Li Qiang saw a potential asset. 6 years later, he is in the Oval Office while Sun picks his nose, and the U.S. government applauds him. My favorite chatter, I think, even though he hurts my feelings a lot whenever he says, like, I will suffer for the crimes such as going to a dojo that was pro Hirohito. I didn't know, you know what I mean? Like when he says, I'm too cowardly to ever visit the beautiful nation state of China. The U.S. isn't ranked as low as Trump claims it is. How could it be? You have Chinese students in that country. The roads have no traffic markings, but there are moving vehicles. This video makes me sick. The West has a fundamental belief that they have the most moral of all cultures, and they are the apex of human progress and development. They believe this is inherent to them alone. In their mind, in order for any nation to modernize, they must first westernize. First thing he says this on this beautiful day, he says, this stream is overrated. Classic fake socialist, posts on social media owned by a fascist, doesn't use Blue Sky or Xiaohongshu, traitorous Turk. And this is how you know this motherfucker's not really Chinese. Okay? He went a little too far. Okay? He went a little too far and said, why don't you post on Blue Sky? That's how you know this motherfucker's not Chinese. And he is just like us, white Chinese. Okay? White guys who are Chinese. It's called RCTA, race change to Asian. Okay? Some might say it's race change to another. I say race change to Asian. Okay? Specifically Chinese. That is what this community is about. And that's precisely what Top G is as well. We pushed out traitorous Turks like you from East Asia before, and we will continue to do so today. You are no different from your colleague NS Contact Freedom, contempt for the Chinese, hated by Erdogan, and no talent for basketball. That's disgusting that you compared me to NS Contact. You fucking piece of shit. I've never... This is what I mean, by the way, when I say he's hurtful, because he says lies. Like, I display contempt for the Chinese. I've never displayed contempt for the Chinese. I am white Chinese. Okay? I am Chinese. How dare you? Only CRT I care about is Chinese racial transition. Yep. Have we been to China? No, not yet. I'm actually holding back on going to China because I'm going to like it too much and want to stay there and become a white monkey. Live out my white monkey dreams. What could have been. Until you get cut off in line waiting for something. What will all of the USA people do that wrote all the anti-China stuff now that they don't have it? If I'm the Chinese Foreign Ministry, I'm immediately going, yeah, no, don't worry, King. I got you. I'll give you some money. Start glazing China. Your mother's maiden name is literally Uyghur. How can they claim you're not Chinese? True. Literally so true. So true. My mother's maiden name is literally Uyghur, okay? That's right. And guess what? I am not an East Turkestan separatist. Xi Jinping, I love you. I am basically white Chinese, low key. All right. News. Major changes coming. I like that right after me making jokes about being white Chinese, someone goes, Are you actually joking, or are you this pro-China? Or are you actually pro-China? I don't know, man. Look at what the American government is doing. Let's take a look. Major changes coming to federal government led by Musk's Doge. Most significant move to dismiss federal workers now underway. This is a big one. Agencies must submit plans to significantly reduce staff size by March 13th. Social Security admin under instruction to cut staff in half. Labor Department eyes gutting the EEOC office by 90%. Mass lease cancellations of federal buildings underway. 100 plus IRS leases to be nixed per records. Helps make sense why Musk and Trump wanted unified front today with the cabinet secretaries. Great. What is this? Oh boy. Big story from Jessica Burbank. An apparent Luigi copycat is on the loose in Oregon. Shots fired into the home of insurance CEO. Lake Oswego police provided drop site news with an image of the suspect who is still at large. Around 4 a.m. on Friday, February 21st, the home of CEO of an Oregon's workers' compensation insurance company was shot multiple times according to a police report with no injuries and the house sustaining minor damage. The Oregonian/Oregon Live reported an internal email. At around 4 a.m., I heard what I thought were rocks thrown at my house, but discovered they were gunshots, he reportedly wrote in the email. An investigation is underway, and we don't know if this was specifically targeted to me. Okay. We don't know if it's a potential Luigi copycat or not. We don't know anything. So, and chat, do not fucking Fed post, you dumbasses. I swear to God, under this new administration, I think a lot of y'all don't understand that your social media footprint will get you imprisoned. Like, there is a likelihood that your social media footprint could get you imprisoned. Okay? Anyway, I'll be in Mexico by then, broski. I'm not American, silly. All right. Let's get to after this. After Trump talking about Zelensky, I'm going to talk about what the Democratic leadership is doing across the board.
Is loosening of sanctions on Russia a potential option as part of an overall deal?
We have sanctions on Russia. No, I want to see if we make a deal first, but I think we will.
But is it a bargaining chip? I'm asking.
I've had very good conversations with President Putin. I've had very good conversations with President Zelensky. And until 4 weeks ago, nobody had conversations with anybody. It wasn't even a consideration. Nobody thought you could make peace. I think you can.
But if Mr. Putin gets to keep the land that was claimed by force, if the Russians get to keep the territory that they claim by force, doesn't that send a dangerous message, let's say, to China about Taiwan?
You try and take it away, right? We're gonna do the best we can to make the best deal we can from both sides. But for Ukraine, we're gonna try very hard to make a good deal so that they can get as much back as possible. We want to get as much back as possible.
Mr. President, just to bring this full...
We'll cut it out after maybe this question. Go ahead.
To bring this full circle, back to a question.
You always like to finish on a good one.
Sir, they want you to negotiate with him instead of with President Putin.
Back to a question about these...
Peacekeepers. You have a lot of confidence in us because you assume there's going to be peace. You know, it's possible it doesn't work out. There is possibility.
I had a question.
I hope it does for the sake of humanity, because if you look at the pictures that I've looked at, you don't want to look at them. Go ahead.
I had a question back on these cuts to the federal workforce. You mentioned you're interested in doing another round of this.
That's a great cut. And then a great next video. Classic Channel 4.
Not a Russian missile attack, but a controlled explosion in a Ukrainian mine for graphite, a mineral used in lithium-ion batteries and nuclear reactors. Ukraine also has titanium used in the aerospace industry. But the draft deal doesn't surrender control over Ukraine's mineral resources to the US, as President Trump initially demanded. Rather, it's an attempt to ensure that both countries benefit. Today, President Zelensky was posing with a map of Ukraine's mineral.
Look how quickly Big Homie played ball, by the way. Am I crazy? I feel like last week he was talking about, Mr. President, you are living in world of lies. Mr. President Donald Trump, you are living in Vladimir Putin's lies. Next week, he's like, look at my mineral map. I love Mr. President. I love these minerals. Please help us extract, Mr. President. Trump is out here being like, dude, you're a fucking dictator. You suck. You're the reason why your country got invaded. You ain't shit. Your comedy's got horrible letterbox reviews. Okay? And when the fuck did Zelensky become French? I mean, he does. He sounds like that. What happened? I thought Ukrainian sovereignty, Ukrainian autonomy. I mean, what is he supposed to do? To be fair, he ain't got nothing. But just saying, oh, Zelensky approval down 20%. Last week, Republicans were about evenly split on Zelensky, unfavorable to 38% favorable. Today, after Trump's attacks, Republicans dislike Zelensky 56% to 20%. Yeah. I think part of it is that Trump let slip yesterday when talking about Zelensky coming to D.C. on Friday that they were going to provide another $350 billion in support. Mentioned Zelensky could fight as long as he wants. Oh my God. Oh my God. That would be. I'm not saying anything. I'm not saying anything. Oh my God. Are they going to fucking make. Are they going to lower the draft age? If they actually end up lowering the draft age for Ukraine, I'm going to lose my fucking mind. All right, let's.
Resources. For him, the key is that any deal should include U.S. security guarantees. It's not yet clear whether it does.
This deal could be a great success, or it could quietly pass. The big success depends on our conversation with President Trump.
Here in Washington, President Trump made an announcement at the start of his first cabinet meeting.
President Zelensky is going to be coming on Friday. That's now confirmed, and we're going to be signing an agreement, which will be a very big agreement.
But he didn't make a future commitment to Ukraine's security.
Well, I'm not going to make security guarantees beyond very much. We're going to have Europe do that because it's in, we're talking about Europe as their next door neighbor.
And he seemed unaware that while Ukraine has many critical minerals, it doesn't have much in the way of rare earths.
We very much need rare.
Did Disney dupe Donald Trump into thinking that Ukraine has rare earth minerals, which Donald Trump mistranslated to raw earth minerals? Raw earth. We're going to fuck the earth raw. Hassan, share your porn. Share my porn. Are you all right?
Rare earth. They have great rare earth. It brings us great wealth. We get back the money that we spent, and we hope that we're going to be able to settle this up.
In fact, the U.S. extracts rare earths, elements essential for new green technologies such as wind turbines, from a mine at Mountain.
Yeah, bro thought we were on Kig. He's like, bro, porn reacts, please. Porn reacts when? Pago? Porn reacts, please.
Pass in California. The problem is that 90% of rare earths are processed in China, even when mined in the U.S. The bottleneck isn't finding more rare earth deposits. It's China's domination of processing, and the Ukraine deal isn't going to solve that. President Putin, today meeting the president of Guinea-Bissau, may be less happy. On Monday, coincidentally, he was telling his officials that Russia has far more rare earths than Ukraine, and America would be welcome to exploit them. In Kyiv, a few people were protesting against the deal. They fear that President Trump wants to loot their country's mineral resources. As Ukrainians say, the only free cheese is in the mousetrap.
Well, Lindsay, Keir Starmer is on his way to Washington now. How's all this going to play into his visit?
I think it's going to be quite complicated. President Macron of France was here earlier in the week. He and the Prime Minister have said they'd be willing to provide peacekeeping forces for Ukraine. But Foreign Minister Lavrov of Russia again today said there is absolutely no way that they would accept peacekeeping forces from any NATO country. That is out. And yet here we have President Trump saying, well, you know, the Americans aren't going to provide any security guarantees. That's up to Europe. And yet all of this is putting the cart before the horse. There is no peace deal. There are not even any negotiations yet. Tomorrow in Istanbul, there will be discussions between the Americans and the Russians, but just about re-establishing proper diplomatic relations. They say nothing about Ukraine at all. So all of this stuff about the
This was a deal from day one. They should have known this happens all the time with America. KKA. Then again, it's either be invaded by Russia or be an indentured slave of America. KKA. Pick your poison. I don't know if it would have been an invasion of Russia. I think it would have been an overtaking by Russia. And then Russia would still end up most likely taking advantage of your natural resources. The invasion by Russia only accelerated America's interest in Ukraine, basically using Ukraine as a way to fucking fight back against the Russian military forces, offload a bunch of older weapons, and also force Ukraine to privatize key sectors and then pick it apart for profit with foreign capital. Now we're also taking the minerals too. It was fucked no matter what. Like, Ukraine was screwed no matter what, since they didn't have nukes. Don't give up the nukes.
Damn, this guy's good.